Chapter 3793. Qiuqiu swallowed the metal at an extremely fast speed. Lu Ming could only watch as the planet shrank in size. Of course, this was because the planet was small to begin with, just like a meteorite. In just half a month, the entire planet had been swallowed by Qiuqiu, leaving nothing behind. After swallowing the entire planet, Qiuqiu's body emitted a metallic luster as it floated in the air, motionless. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that Qiuqiu was about to evolve. Originally, Qiuqiu had been close to evolving after eating some Purple Moon Godly Metal and Purple Moon Mother Steel. It only needed a little more time to completely refine the energy of the Purple Moon Mother Steel. Then it would definitely evolve and break through to the Divine Emperor realm. But now, after swallowing the entire strange metal planet, Qiuqiu immediately began to evolve. That was because its accumulation was just too strong, so strong that it was about to overflow. This guy. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He couldn't evolve here because the gale here was too weak. His cultivation speed was very slow. Lu Ming wanted to continue towards the center of the Gale Star River. Lu Ming took out a chain-shaped divine tool and wrapped it around Qiuqiu, pulling it towards the depths of the Gale Star River. There were no other abnormalities along the way. In truth, there weren't many people who ventured into the Gale Star River to search for treasures because it was too dangerous. Half a month later, Lu Ming brought Qiuqiu and flew for an unknown distance. They were already very close to the center of the Gale Star River. The gale here was shockingly strong. When it hit Lu Ming's skin was directly cut open, leaving wounds on Lu Ming's body. And this was the result of Lu Ming resisting with all his strength. From this, it could be seen how powerful the gale here was. Even a quasi-emperor would be turned to ashes in an instant. Only experts above the Divine Emperor realm could stay here. Let's do it here. Lu Ming stopped and put Qiuqiu to the side. The gale blew against Qiuqiu, making clanging sounds, but it didn't affect Qiuqiu in the slightest. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in the air. Borrowing the power of the strong winds, he stimulated his potential and quietly cultivated. The power of the gale made Lu Ming feel threatened at all times. Of course, this also made it easier to stimulate his potential. The potential stored in all the cells in his body was slowly being stimulated. His body was slowly transforming. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been in the Gale Galaxy for a year and a half. On this day, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was like a divine sword as his aura soared into the sky. Whoosh! Lu Ming suddenly rushed up and punched out with both fists. The void shook violently, and an endless gale was driven by the fist energy, sweeping in all directions like a hurricane. In the next moment, Lu Ming stopped. His aura also went into hiding. 7th level Divine Monarch. Entering for a year and a half, Lu Ming's cultivation broke through, breaking through from level 6 Divine Lord to level 7 Divine Lord. His combat power skyrocketed. This speed was already very astonishing. Of course, Lu Ming's current cultivation was extraordinary. As long as there was enough energy and enough pressure on him, his cultivation could continuously increase. Qiuqiu's aura is also much stronger. It's probably going to complete its evolution soon too. Lu Ming looked at Qiuqiu, revealing a look of anticipation. Compared to more than a year ago, Qiuqiu's size had become much larger. Its aura was also much stronger, showing signs of rushing out. Lu Ming knew that Qiuqiu was also about to complete its evolution. Now was not the time to move. Lu Ming originally wanted to bring Qiuqiu and continue deeper into the Gale Galaxy. Because as his cultivation broke through, the gale here no longer pressured him enough. He needed to find stronger gale to stimulate his potential. But now he could only wait for Qiuqiu to evolve before moving forward. Let's refine the Gravity Pearl first. Lu Ming's heart stirred. After breaking through to the 7th level Divine Lord realm, could he refine one more Gravity Pearl? Every additional Gravity Pearl, once activated, would cause the gravity to skyrocket. It would also be of great help to Lu Ming's combat strength. Lu Ming began to blood bond with the 3rd Gravity Pearl. It really works. A few days later, Lu Ming felt that it was indeed possible. Lu Ming continued to work hard. After a few more days, Lu Ming succeeded in blood bonding. Buzz buzz buzz. Lu Ming activated the Gravity Pearls. 3 Gravity Pearls flew high into the sky. A powerful gravity erupted. Under the terrifying gravity, space constantly distorted as if it could not withstand it. The powerful gale was also greatly affected. Under the effect of gravity, its speed became extremely slow. What a powerful gravity. Compared to when I had 2 Gravity Pearls, the gravity has increased by 10 times. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Sure enough, every time he refined an additional gravity orb, the gravity would be 10 times stronger than before. Now, with 3 gravity pearls at the same time, the gravity was terrifying. Ordinary emperors would definitely die under the pressure. Even cultivators of the first godly emperor layer would be injured under the pressure of the gravity pearls. Before, when he used 2 gravity pearls at the same time, he could affect cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. Now, with 3 gravity pearls at the same time, a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer would be seriously injured. With the 3 gravity pearls, Lu Ming's combat ability had increased by a huge margin. It was much more powerful than before. At that moment, Lu Ming could easily kill ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. Even if he encountered cultivators of the second godly desolate layer like the old man, he could still fight against them. If he cooperated with Qiu, killing them wouldn't be difficult. Of course, that was only before Qiu had broken through. After that, there was no need to talk about it. I wonder if I can refine 4 gravity pearls? Lu Ming's heart was burning with excitement. He looked at the 4th gravity pearl. With each additional gravity pearl, the gravity was 10 times stronger. If he could refine the 4th one, how terrifying would the gravity be? He could easily kill a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. However, when Lu Ming tried to refine the 4th gravity pearl, it felt like a gigantic planet was in front of him. He couldn't move it at all. Not to mention refining it. Lu Ming had the feeling that even if he broke through to the 8th godly emperor layer, he wouldn't be able to refine the 4th gravity pearl. Lu Ming had no choice but to give up on that idea. Boom. At that instant, a terrifying aura burst out from the crowd. It came from Qiu. Qiu was about to break through. Lu Ming was overjoyed. At that moment, Qiu's chi was terrifying. His body kept moving. Sometimes he turned into a sword, sometimes he turned into a saber, sometimes he turned into a silver spear. They were all the treasures Qiu had absorbed. As time passed, Qiu's chi became stronger and stronger. In the end, it seemed like it had broken through a certain threshold. A terrifying oppressive energy exploded. Imperial-level oppressive energy. Qiu had broken through to the godly emperor layer. He now had the strength of the first godly emperor layer. Chapter 3794. Qiu's cultivation had reached the first layer of the godly emperor realm. However, Qiu's chi didn't stop there. It continued to rise. Can it continue to break through? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Previously, Qiu had broken through several levels at once, but that was when its cultivation was still low, and its accumulation was too strong. But could it continue to rise in the godly emperor realm? Lu Ming knew that Qiu's accumulation this time was also very strong. The purple moon mother steel was enough for it to break through, and then it had swallowed an entire planet. How strong was its energy? It was unimaginable. Even if it could continue to break through, it wasn't impossible. Lu Ming waited patiently. Qiu's chi grew stronger and stronger. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. Qiu's chi had reached its peak. Boom. Qiu's chi suddenly rose by another level. Second layer of the godly emperor realm. Qiu had really broken through to the second layer of the godly emperor realm. After reaching the second layer of the godly emperor realm, Qiu's chi finally stabilized. After a while, the balloon's chi disappeared and it flew happily toward Lu Ming. Qiu, you're amazing. You've reached the second layer of the godly emperor realm. Lu Ming pretended to be envious. In fact, he really was envious. He had broken through quickly enough, but Qiu was even more heaven-defying. As long as it had good treasures, its cultivation would soar like a rocket. It was much faster than him. Qiu had reached the second layer of the godly emperor realm, so he didn't know how strong it was. In any case, Lu Ming couldn't defeat it even if he used all his tricks. It would be a great help to Lu Ming. Let's go. Let's keep going. Lu Ming said to Qiu. He had made a promise of 3 years to the various geniuses. There was still more than a year left. He wanted to use this time to increase his cultivation and see if he could break through to the 8th layer of the godly emperor realm. Of course, the higher one's cultivation was, the harder it was to break through. It was almost impossible to break through to the 8th layer of the godly emperor realm in a year. But it was better to improve a little, right? Qiu turned back into a bracelet and wore it on Lu Ming's wrist. The two of them flew together. This place was already close to the center of the Gale Galaxy. As the two of them went deeper, the power of the Gale grew stronger. However, it still hadn't met Lu Ming's requirements. Lu Ming wanted to go deeper. Swoosh. At this moment, 2 beams of divine light came from the other side and flew toward the center of the Gale Galaxy. They were 2 middle-aged men. Both of them were wearing fiery red armor. The armor was sparkling, blocking the strong wind outside. A cultivator of the second godly emperor layer and a cultivator of the first. Lu Ming's heart stirred as he sensed their cultivation bases. The two middle-aged men also saw Lu Ming, and their eyes were filled with curiosity. A 7th-level Divine Lord person is actually able to walk until here too. It's truly a miracle. He probably has treasures on him, right? Don't be a busybody. The Zephyr Palace is about to be broken. Let's get down to business first. The two of them exchanged a few words in secret. Then they did not linger and quickly left. However, Lu Ming's ears were extremely sharp, especially since he had cultivated the celestial hearing ability. He heard their conversation clearly. Zephyr Palace? What's that? Could it be some kind of historical remnant of the Gale Galaxy? Lu Ming's mind raced. In the end he decided to follow them. Lu Ming restrained his aura and flew behind the two middle-aged men. 2 hours later, Lu Ming saw two other groups of people flying in the same direction. Obviously they were also heading for the Zephyr Palace. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a huge object suspended in the starry sky in front of him. This huge object was completely made of stone. From afar it looked like a stone palace. However, the appearance of this stone palace was extremely different from that of the outside world. It looked like a palace, but there was no entrance or exit. There were no doors or windows. It looked like a huge circular fortress. There were many people around the fortress. At a glance, there were dozens of people. There was no doubt that these people were all divine emperors. Boom. Suddenly, a great battle broke out on one side of the fortress. Divine light filled the sky, and at the same time, angry roars were heard. We found the weak point of the Zephyr Palace, and we also spent a lot of effort to break it. You want to take advantage of us? No way. Someone shouted. Aha, the Zephyr Palace is not yours. It's a public area. Anyone who sees it has a share. Who can you blame for breaking the fortress? Someone responded coldly. Shameless. The people from before roared and the battle became more intense. However, after a while the battle stopped. Because many people had surrounded them. Those who were fighting were obviously afraid of being taken advantage of and did not dare to continue fighting. Since everyone has found it, it's impossible for the Xinyuan pirate group to monopolize it. The news was leaked because there was a traitor in the Xinyuan pirate group. This is your own business. Since we're all here, we can't go back empty-handed. How about this? The Xinyuan pirate group has not completely broken the Zephyr Palace. Next, we'll work together to break the Zephyr Palace. We'll talk about the treasures inside with our strength. Everyone talked at once and came up with a plan. The people of the Xinyuan pirate group looked extremely gloomy, but they knew that since so many experts had come, it was impossible for them to monopolize it with their strength alone. They could only follow the plan. So they're all from the interstellar pirates. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It made sense. The Zephyr Galaxy was located in a relatively remote area without any powerful forces around. It was an area where the interstellar pirates could easily survive and operate. It was normal for this place to attract many interstellar pirates. Lu Ming had a few thoughts in his mind as he approached slowly. As soon as Lu Ming approached, pairs of eyes immediately looked at Lu Ming. Hey, it's a Divine Lord kid. It's rare for a Divine Lord to be able to come here. He probably has a treasure that can withstand the Zephyr Palace. Many people were curious. Of course, there were also people who shouted, Kid, what are you doing here as a Divine Lord? Why don't you get lost? Isn't there a share here? Why can't I be here? Lu Ming replied. Aha, everyone has a share. It also requires strength and qualifications. You're just a Divine Lord kid, what strength do you have? I'll give you one last chance. If you don't get lost, you'll stay here forever. It was the same person, a burly man with a scar on his face, who stared coldly at Lu Ming. Oh, is that so? In that case, you're not qualified to be here at all. Why don't you get lost? Lu Ming scolded lightly. This burly man with a scar was merely a first-level Divine Lord. Lu Ming did not care about a first-level Divine Lord from an interstellar pirate group. Chapter 3795. Lu Ming's words made the others stunned. Lu Ming actually dared to speak to a first-level Divine Lord expert like this? Was he courting death? The scar-faced man's eyes burst with icy killing intent. Lu Ming's words were clearly looking down on him. He was clearly trash and had no qualifications to be here. Preposterous. Kid, listening to your words, do you think that you're stronger than me? The scar-faced man approached Lu Ming and said with a cold smile. You can say that. Lu Ming replied indifferently. Ha 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 ha. A burst of loud laughter came from the scene. Everyone at the scene laughed heartily, looking at Lu Ming as if he was a fool. Lu Ming, a 7th-level Divine Lord brat, actually said that he was stronger than the scar-faced man? Did he know how strong divine emperors were? How terrifying. Most likely he completely did not know how terrifying divine emperors were. The gap between a 7th-level divine lord and a 1st-level divine lord was even greater than some chasm. Such a laughable thing could even be said. Shouldn't they laugh? Of course they should laugh. Especially the scar-faced man, he even laughed until tears came out. I even thought that you were some heavenly pride. Turns out that you're a fool. Fool, Grandpa will send you on your way now. The scar-faced man shouted coldly, a blade chopping towards Lu Ming's head, wanting to behead Lu Ming in one move. The blade light was quick, arriving above Lu Ming's head in a twinkle. Lu Ming's expression did not change in the slightest, a fist slamming out. He had long triggered the battle character art to increase his combat strength by 5 times. With a punch slamming out, the void exploded. Terrifying gales were driven by the fist force, condensing together, becoming a part of the fist force. Clang. Lu Ming's fist slammed into the scar-faced man's battle blade. The battle blade trembled crazily, then with a bang, it exploded. The berserk fist force did not stop, continuing to rumble towards the scar-faced man. The scar-faced man could no longer laugh. The smile on his face froze, replaced by astonishment. At the critical moment, he let out a roar and retreated madly. Both of his hands blasted forward, hoping to block Lu Ming's attack. However, a cracking sound could be heard as the sound of bones breaking rang out. His arms had been broken by Lu Ming, and his body was sent flying back. He slammed into the stone fortress, causing it to shake violently. Nothing happened to the fortress, but the scarred man spat out a large mouthful of blood. His face was deathly pale and his aura was weak. He had suffered heavy injuries. The scene was silent. Everyone's smiles disappeared and were replaced with astonishment and disbelief. The knife-scarred man had actually been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated so easily by Lu Ming in one move. There was no way to block it at all. It was a complete suppression. Was this still the cultivation of a 7th-level divine lord? Everyone stared blankly at Lu Ming. They finally understood what Lu Ming's words meant. Lu Ming had said that the knife-scarred man wasn't qualified, but he was. He was indeed qualified. The knife-scarred man had said that Lu Ming wasn't qualified. That was a complete joke. Lu Ming had used his strength to prove that point. Now, do I have the qualifications? Lu Ming looked like he was talking to the knife-scarred man, but he was actually talking to the others. Yes, you are. The knife-scarred man coughed up blood and nodded. He was really scared to death. His heart was filled with fear. In the previous move, Lu Ming's ability was not something that he could resist. He knew he had really kicked an iron plate. How strong. A 7th-level divine lord is already that strong. I've never seen anyone like that before. You're qualified. Said some people. Some people's eyes were glittering as they stared at Lu Ming. It was unknown what they were thinking. There weren't only cultivators of the 1st godly emperor layer there. There were even stronger cultivators. They were all pirates. Even though they were shocked by Lu Ming's talent, they weren't afraid of Lu Ming. Lu Ming could defeat cultivators of the 1st godly emperor layer, but could he defeat cultivators of the 2nd godly emperor layer? They didn't believe it. But Lu Ming was already qualified to compete with them for the treasures. Let's discuss how to break the Zephyr Temple, suggested someone. The Zephyr Temple is covered by a strange stone. With our strength we can't break it. But no matter how hard something is, it has a weakness. The Xian Yuan pirate group found the weakness and broke through 80% of it. As for the remaining 20%, if we join hands, we'll be able to break it quickly, said a silver-haired old man. That silver-haired old man had some prestige among the pirates. He was obviously very strong. Commander Ian is right. Let's do that. I have no objection, said the others. Only the Xian Yuan pirate group pulled a long face. But in front of so many strong cultivators, they had no choice but to agree. After they finished discussing, they moved towards the weak point. In another direction, Lu Ming saw a gigantic hole in the wall. There were cracks on the sides of the hole. Looking through the hole, Lu Ming saw that there was still a wall inside. The wall was surprisingly thick, at least 10,000 meters thick. They had already broken through 8,000 meters, there were still 2,000 meters left. Shouted the silver-haired old man. He took the initiative to attack. He raised his finger and a silver finger appeared. It looked like it was made of silver. It moved towards the remaining 2,000 meters of the wall. That's the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer. No, it's even stronger. When the silver-haired old man attacked, Lu Ming was astonished. The silver-haired old man's strength was unfathomable. His godly strength was incredible. Lu Ming was astonished. He was much, much stronger than the old man who had broken through to the second godly emperor layer. He probably had the strength of the third godly emperor layer. As expected, there were terrifying cultivators among those people. Attack. The others also attacked at the same time, unleashing all sorts of attacks that slammed into the remaining 2,000-meter thick wall. Boom, boom, boom. The wall kept exploding and shaking. Pieces of broken stone started falling down. That was because this was the weak point. If it had been any other wall, they wouldn't have been able to break it. However, the remaining 2,000 meters of the wall wasn't that easy to break. They kept attacking for half an hour and then they stopped. Attacking continuously consumed a lot of godly strength. Besides, the people there all had their own plans. They didn't want to exhaust their godly strength. When they had used half of their godly strength, they had to stop and recover. Everyone silently took out pills that could replenish their divine power and consume them to recover. After a few hours, they had rested enough and started attacking again. Just like that, a few days later, there were only 100 meters left of the 2,000-meter stone wall. Soon it would be broken through. At that moment, they heard some whistling sounds in the distance. A dozen silhouettes flew over. Everyone's movements involuntarily stopped. It's you. Some people's eyes twinkled as they recognized those people. They were famous pirates. Chapter 3796. It's him. Lu Ming's eyes twinkled. Among the dozen people who had arrived, Lu Ming recognized one of them. It was the old man with the conical face who had escaped before. The old man with the conical face had also noticed Lu Ming. He was fixedly staring at Lu Ming. His eyes were filled with hatred and murderous intentions. Little boy, I didn't think that you would be here. Very good, very good. The old man with the conical face was staring at Lu Ming. His voice was ice cold. Everybody could hear that his voice was filled with murderous intentions. Tai Xiong, that little boy killed 5 godly emperors from the Iron Chain Pirates? The old man with the conical face was called Tai Xiong. Next to him was a middle-aged man with a long face. Indeed, that little bastard. Even though his cultivation level is not high, he is extremely strong. He can fight against cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. Don't be careless, warned Tai Xiong. His voice was filled with hatred. The people around Lu Ming weren't surprised. They just glanced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming had defeated the scar-faced man in one move. He had already shown how strong he was. It was normal for him to be able to kill 5 strong cultivators of the Iron Chain Pirates. Interesting. Tai Xiong, what you said before, you have to keep your word, said the middle-aged man. I will keep my word. I swear on my life essence, said Tai Xiong. All right, nodded the middle-aged man. He glanced at the crowd and said, Everybody, we have a grudge against this little boy. Who is his friend? I don't know him. I have nothing to do with you. The people around Lu Ming burst into laughter and moved away from Lu Ming. They didn't know Lu Ming. Of course they wouldn't help Lu Ming. They hoped that Lu Ming and Tai Xiong would fight to the death so that they would have fewer competitors. These people retreated silently. Lu Ming was the only one left in the spacious space. Those people stopped attacking the stone wall for the time being. They looked like they were watching a good show. Very good. The horse-faced middle-aged man, Tai Xiong, revealed a sinister smile. In the next moment, figures flickered as Tai Xiong, the horse-faced middle-aged man, and the others surrounded Lu Ming. Powerful auras as heavy as a mountain pressed down on Lu Ming. 3 cultivators of the second godly emperor layer and 7 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. No wonder they're so confident. Lu Ming smiled faintly in his heart. The other party did not try to hide anything. He could easily sense the cultivation levels of these people. Since they knew Lu Ming was strong enough to defeat Tai Xiong, they were confident that they could kill Lu Ming because there were 3 cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. After all, Lu Ming had barely defeated Tai Xiong. He was only a little bit stronger than Tai Xiong. They had 3 cultivators of the second godly emperor layer, so killing Lu Ming was more than enough. Besides, there were 7 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. They never thought that Lu Ming's battle prowess had already skyrocketed. It was not easy to increase one's battle prowess and cultivation level after reaching the godly emperor layer. It had been hundreds of millions of years. How long had it been? It had only been a year. How could he have broken through in such a short period of time? Little boy, I won't let you die so easily. I will seal your cultivation level and put you in the wind. I will make you suffer the pain of the wind cutting your body. Tai Xiong's face was extremely ferocious and there was a hint of excitement. It was as if he had already seen Lu Ming's miserable state of being sliced by the strong wind. That's a good idea. Unfortunately, reality is cruel. Do you know that? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Then with a sudden movement he charged toward Tai Xiong. Boom, boom. As soon as he rushed out, Lu Ming threw out a few hundred punches. The terrifying fist force gathered together like a stormy sea, blasting towards Tai Xiong. However, Tai Xiong was already prepared. His metal spear pierced through the air and collided with Lu Ming's fist strength. However, as soon as they started fighting, Tai Xiong's expression changed. "You broke through to the godly emperor lair," shouted Tai Xiong furiously. "Die. Die." At the same time, the horse-faced man and the others also attacked. 2 cultivators of the second godly emperor lair and 7 cultivators of the first godly emperor lair attacked Lu Ming from all directions. So many strong cultivators joining hands was terrifying. Any other cultivator of the second godly emperor lair would have been seriously injured. Lu Ming obviously wouldn't underestimate them. He released forbidden strength into the gravity pearls. Bzzz. 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 The 3 gravity pearls lit up and rose up in the air. Then a terrifying gravity surrounded the horse-faced man, Tai Xiong and the others. 3 gravity pearls appeared at the same time. The 7 cultivators of the first godly emperor lair were affected the most. Their faces changed drastically, and their bodies emitted cracking sounds. Their bones were broken under the pressure of the gravity pearls. At the same time, their muscles, blood, internal organs and even their souls were affected. When the gravity reached a certain level, even the smallest particles could be affected. The 7 cultivators of the first godly emperor realm were severely injured in an instant. Their secret skills were on the verge of collapsing under the pressure of gravity. Before they could reach Lu Ming, their attacks dissipated. The horse-faced man, Tai Xiong and the others of the second godly emperor lair were in a much better situation, but they were also affected. Their attacks became weaker and Lu Ming easily blocked them. "Die." Lu Ming shouted and continued to attack Tai Xiong. His attacks were like a tide. "Shit, the gravity is so strong." Tai Xiong's expression was extremely ugly. He waved his long spear with all his might and fought with Lu Ming. In a flash they exchanged more than 10 attacks. Lu Ming actually faintly gained the upper hand and forced Tai Xiong to retreat. The last time Lu Ming fought with Tai Xiong, Lu Ming still needed to rely on Qiu to transform into a silver spear to fight with Tai Xiong and defeat him in the end. But in this battle, Lu Ming no longer needed to rely on Qiu to fight with Tai Xiong and even gain the upper hand. "Retreat, let's retreat," Tai Xiong roared. He thought of Lu Ming's metal life form. Lu Ming's metal life form had not been used yet, but it was already so strong. If it was used, how strong would it be? He was a little scared. "Retreat for what? He is strong, but if we join hands we can kill him," shouted the horse-faced man. He held 2 sabers in his hands and slashed out with all his strength, cutting through the gravity and slashing towards Lu Ming. The fighting strength that Lu Ming displayed was similar to what Tai Xiong had described before. If the 3 of them joined hands, they would be able to defeat or even kill Lu Ming. "No, he still has a trump card that he hasn't used yet," Tai Xiong shouted frantically, extremely anxious. After exchanging a move with Lu Ming, he wanted to retreat. This time, Lu Ming had exceeded his expectations. He did not expect that in just over a year, Lu Ming's fighting strength would increase explosively again. He knew that if they joined hands, they would no longer be a match for Lu Ming. "It's too late to leave now," Lu Ming said coldly. Then, the ball on his wrist wriggled and turned into a silver spear. Chapter 3797. On Lu Ming's wrist, Qiu turned into a silver spear and was held in Lu Ming's hand. Whoosh! A moonlight spear light burst out. It was incomparably dazzling, as if it had pierced through the starry sky and pierced towards Tai Xiong. Fast, it was extremely fast. In a flash, it arrived in front of Tai Xiong. Tai Xiong's expression changed drastically. He roared furiously and released all his strength. He poured all his divine power into the metal spear and stabbed it with all his might, hoping to block the moonlight spear light. Clang! The tip of the spear and the tip of the spear collided. Then, the tip of the metal spear shattered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then the entire spear shattered in an instant. Poof! The moonlight spear light didn't stop, piercing through Tai Xiong's forehead. "How is this possible?" Tai Xiong roared furiously. His eyes were wide open and his face was filled with disbelief. Originally, he thought that even if Lu Ming's strength had increased greatly, even if he had the help of the metal life form, even if he was stronger than him, there should be a limit to his strength. How could he have killed him in one move? The light in his eyes dimmed. He couldn't figure it out until he died. Of course, he didn't know that last time, Qiuqiu was only at the quasi-emperor realm. Now he was already at the second godly emperor realm. His strength had undergone an earth-shattering change. Killing him would only take one move. Besides, Lu Ming had told Qiuqiu not to use his full strength, only a part of his strength. Along the way, Lu Ming understood that he had to keep a trump card at all times. It could save his life at a critical moment. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he couldn't easily expose all his trump cards. As long as he could kill Tai Xiong, that was enough. How is this possible? Lu Ming had killed Tai Xiong in one move. The horse-faced middle-aged man and the others were stunned. For a moment they couldn't wrap their heads around it. Lu Ming wouldn't give them a chance. Whoosh, whoosh. Two more spear lights burst forth, piercing towards the horse-faced middle-aged man and the other cultivator of the second godly emperor realm. The two of them seemed to have woken up from a dream. They hurriedly defended themselves, but it was too late. How much strength could they use in such a hurry? Actually, it was useless even if they could use their full strength, not to mention only a little bit of strength. The moonlight spear light flew past, and the horse-faced middle-aged man and the other two followed in Tai Xiong's footsteps. They were also pierced by the spear light and died on the spot. Let's go. The 7 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer were scared out of their wits. They started running away in all directions. Since you've already made your move, you'll have to pay the price for what you've done. Stay here. A cold and emotionless voice sounded as 7 moonlight spear lights tore through the void. The 7 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer had been injured by the gravity, so they were all killed by the moonlight spear. Lu Ming did not show any mercy, nor did he intend to let these people off. These people were all interstellar pirates. Their methods were cruel and they deserved to die. Another reason was that they were surrounded by interstellar pirates. These people bullied the weak and feared the strong. Lu Ming wanted to display his strength to intimidate these people. He wanted them to be wary of him and not dare to provoke him. This would save a lot of trouble in the future. As expected, when the people around saw that Lu Ming had killed so many cultivators, their faces were incomparably dignified. Many of them even looked terrified. Especially the scar-faced man who had provoked Lu Ming before. He was shaking from head to toe and his face was deathly pale. Now he finally knew what kind of person he had provoked. It was simply a blessing from his ancestors that he was able to survive. What a terrifying young man. Who is this person? He has so many treasures and a powerful metal life form with him. I'm afraid he's a genius from a powerful clan. Absolutely. These people secretly discussed and decided not to provoke Lu Ming. Haha, little brother, your fighting strength is really amazing. I admire you. Tai Xiong and the others were blind to provoke you. They really deserve to die. The silver-haired old man burst into laughter, making the atmosphere a little better. Let's continue breaking the wall. Lu Ming said. All right, let's continue. The silver-haired old man said. They continued to break the wall, but gravity's heart had already changed. He now regarded Lu Ming, a divine Lord Realm existence, as someone that could not be provoked. The remaining 100-some meters thick wall did not stop Lu Ming's group for long. Not long after, with a boom, the stone wall was pierced through, revealing the dark space inside. This was the interior of Gale Temple. Everyone looked at each other and then flew into the dark space in unison. Of course, they did not dare to be careless. Divine power covered their bodies and defensive divine artifacts revolved around them, ready to fight at any moment. Lu Ming had Qiuqiu transform into a suit of armor and then followed the others into the dark space. After flying in, they discovered that there were stone palaces with several passages leading in different directions. Besides this, they did not encounter any other dangers. I'll go left. I'll go right. To the center. Everyone chose a passage according to their wishes and flew in. Lu Ming casually chose the leftmost passage. The passage went straight ahead and was surrounded by stone walls. Someone had tried it and found that the walls were indestructible. After walking for half an hour, they reached the end and arrived at a vast land. On this piece of land, strong winds howled, containing a strong gale. There's actually such a land here. Could this be the core of Gale Temple? Someone asked curiously. This land was undulating. From afar there were mountain ranges. It was no different from a world. However, not a single blade of grass grew here. There were no living creatures. It was dead silent. Everyone flew out and spread out to explore this area to see if they could find any treasures. However, after searching for a while, they found nothing. There's nothing here. How unlucky. It seems that we've made a wasted trip this time. Someone cursed in a low voice. Ah. As if in response to that person's words, a shrill scream came from afar. As soon as the scream sounded, it disappeared. Everyone's expression changed, especially the person who spoke. He was so scared that he trembled. Ah! Another scream rang out, coming from their right. From the sound of it, it was not the same person as the previous one. "What's over there?" someone asked with a pale face. However, no one answered him. They also wanted to know what it was. Boom. Then, a violent explosion came from that direction. Beams of resplendent light shot into the sky. Obviously, there was a fierce battle over there. However, the battle did not last very long. It ended in just a few breaths. How is it? Everyone's expression was solemn. How could the battle end so quickly? Judging from the direction, it should be a group of people who took another passage. There were actually experts among them. Could they have been eliminated so quickly? Chapter 3798. That thought flashed through everyone's mind, but no one dared to go over and check. Some of them even wanted to leave this place. "Look, someone is flying over there." Suddenly, someone shouted. Sure enough, some people were flying over from the direction of the battle just now. They were the people who parted ways with them just now. But now there were only about 10 of them left. What happened just now? What happened over there? Someone quickly asked. "A monster attacked us just now." Among the people flying over, someone answered. "A monster? What monster?" Someone quickly asked. "I'm not sure. It came and went without a trace like a gust of wind. It killed several of us in succession. We attacked that monster together, but that monster retreated silently." Someone replied. "It retreated?" Everyone's eyes flickered. If it was repelled, it meant that its strength was not very strong. Everyone was slightly relieved. In addition, with so many people gathered together, they became much bolder. In the end, no one retreated. Instead, they planned to continue exploring. They had spent so much effort to get here. How could they be willing to leave without exploring properly? Everyone continued to fly toward the center of this land. Nothing unusual happened next, and they did not encounter any monsters. Everyone was relieved, thinking that the monster was afraid of them. Ah! Suddenly, a miserable scream came from the gust of wind. It was still coming from the right. Everyone's expression suddenly changed. It's another group of people. They encountered that monster. Someone exclaimed. "Should we go over and rescue them?" Someone asked. "No need. Let's wait and see." But then a series of miserable screams sounded. 7 or 8 miserable screams sounded in a row, and they did not stop. This time, everyone's expression changed. The situation was different from before. Why were there so many miserable screams in a row? Why didn't the people in that direction join forces? Previously, they were divided into 3 groups. Each group had more than a dozen people, and there were experts among them. They were definitely not weak. While everyone was thinking, a few more miserable screams were heard. At the same time, there was a roar from that direction, a burst of dazzling divine light, and a rumbling sound, however, that did not stop the miserable screams. After a while, there were more miserable screams. Then, everyone saw a divine light flying over from that direction. "It's Commander Ian," someone exclaimed. The figure that flew over was the silver-haired old man. His strength was unfathomable. However, at this moment, the silver-haired old man was in a very sorry state. His silver hair was disheveled and there were several wounds on his body. Everyone was shocked. Even the silver-haired old man was injured. What had they encountered? The silver-haired old man's eyes lit up when he saw Lu Ming and the others. He flew towards Lu Ming and the others. "Let's gather." Someone shouted loudly. They didn't dare to relax. Everyone gathered together and formed a circle. They were on high alert. The silver-haired old man rushed into the crowd and gathered with them. "Commander Ian, why are you alone? Where are the others?" someone asked. "Everyone else is dead," the silver-haired old man said. "What?" Everyone was shocked. "What exactly did you encounter?" Someone revealed a look of fear. "It's a monster. It's like a gale, as if it was formed by the wind. It comes and goes without a trace. It's strange and unpredictable. It's impossible to kill," the silver-haired old man said with a grave expression. "Condensed from strong winds? Can't kill him? Is there anything in the world that can't be killed?" Everyone was astonished. They couldn't believe it. "It's here," said the silver-haired old man suddenly. Everyone was astonished. They hastily looked around, but they didn't see anything. However, the strong wind in the surroundings suddenly became much stronger. Whoosh, 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 a strong wind started blowing, whistling and whistling. At the same time, a scorching hot chi appeared. Everyone stared intently at their surroundings, preparing their defenses to the fullest. Suddenly, a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer gave a horrible shriek. Blood gushed out of his body and his body exploded into pieces. Flames appeared and burned. A cultivator of the first godly emperor layer had died tragically. Monster. The crowd saw a silhouette condensed from strong winds. It was flickering. That cultivator of the first godly emperor layer had been killed by that silhouette. Kill him. Immediately, 5 or 6 people attacked, unleashing their most powerful secret techniques. 5 or 6 attacks slammed into the figure, and a boom rang out as the figure was blasted into pieces. But it was useless. The wind gathered again and the silhouette appeared again. In a flash it merged with the wind and disappeared. Whoosh whoosh, the wind was whistling and it was scorching hot. However, the crowd's hearts were ice cold. They couldn't kill him. They really couldn't kill him. That monster didn't have a body, it was just a gust of wind. Impossible. How could we not kill him? Our godly strength has awakened many times, we can even kill a soul. Why can't we kill a gust of wind? Shouted someone furiously. Indeed, they were all godly emperors and their godly strength had awakened many times. Even if it was a soul, wind, rain, thunder, lightning, they could destroy it. Even if that monster had been condensed from strong winds, they should have been able to destroy it, but why hadn't it worked? A strong gale swept across. While everyone was resisting the gale, they were on full alert. Shouted another cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. He didn't know when that monster had appeared in front of him again. The wind was terrifying and it surrounded that cultivator. That cultivator of the first godly emperor layer couldn't resist it. He was cut into pieces and turned into ashes. Die. Die. Kill that monster. Shouted someone furiously, attacking the monster. But it was useless. The monster exploded and condensed not far away. It merged with the wind again and disappeared. They couldn't kill him. They really couldn't kill him. Furthermore, the world was filled with howling gales. This kind of monster blended into the gales and came and went without a trace. It was impossible to predict when it would attack. It was simply impossible to guard against it. Let's leave. Let's leave. Indeed, let's leave. There are no treasures in this damn place. We've been looking everywhere and we haven't found anything. We'll die here. It's not worth it. Some people began to retreat, revealing a look of fear. They were all desperate people and they were brave. However, they were terrified to fight against a monster that they couldn't kill. Chapter 3799. No, we can't separate. If we separate, the monster will kill us one by one and we'll die even faster, said the silver-haired old man. The reason why the previous group of people were defeated so quickly was because some people wanted to escape and retreat, so the group was scattered. This gave the monster an opportunity to take advantage of and kill everyone in just a few moves. Only the silver-haired old man was left. He had managed to escape thanks to his incredible cultivation level. What should we do then? Are we going to wait for death? If that's the case, I'd rather risk my life, shouted the scar-faced man furiously. The scars on his face were distorted. He looked hideous. He was terrified. That monster bullied the weak and feared the strong. It killed the weak first. 2 people had died before, and they were both cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. He was afraid that the next one would be him. That kind of waiting was torturous. There's only one way, we have to stay together and move towards the exit. That's the only way we'll have a chance to leave this place alive, said the silver-haired old man. All right, let's do that. I agree with Commander Ian. Let's move out now. We'll move towards the exit together. Many people agreed to move together. Listen to me, get ready, attack, shouted the silver-haired elder. Everyone attacked at the same time. All sorts of attacks were sent towards the exit. That region's gale was instantly torn apart, and a huge gap appeared. Then they moved together and rushed toward the gap. Unfortunately, the gale whistled and moved extremely fast. With a sweep, the gap was closed again. Attack together, shouted the silver-haired old man. Everybody attacked again and continued moving forwards. However, a moment later, a horrible shriek spread in the air. Everybody saw that the monster had appeared in front of a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. That cultivator couldn't fight back at all and was killed instantly. The people next to him were astonished. They hastily attacked the monster, but just like before, after the monster's body broke apart, it condensed in the wind and disappeared. Hurry up, let's go, shouted everybody furiously. They kept attacking the monster and sped up. However, they were still a distance away from the exit. It wasn't easy to cross that distance. After a short distance, the monster attacked again. Another cultivator of the first godly emperor layer was killed. Thus, everyone was in a state of panic. After a short time, another cultivator of the first godly emperor layer died. 5 cultivators of the first godly emperor layer had already been killed, but they couldn't do anything to the monsters. No, this is too slow. If this goes on, only death awaits. Let's rush out. With so many people rushing out, how many people can that monster kill? The chances of survival will be higher. It's better than waiting for death. Yes, let's split up and charge out, shouted some cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. Most of them were cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. That monster had been killing cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. How could those cultivators of the first godly emperor layer not panic? This won't do. Once we scatter, we'll all die. You won't be able to escape either. The silver-haired old man shouted. If we don't scatter, we'll die. That monster only kills cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. It won't kill you first, so you'll be fine. When we're all dead, you can escape to the exit, shouted a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. The other cultivators of the first godly emperor layer and even the second godly emperor layer pulled long faces. Indeed, the monster was picking on the weak first. Strong cultivators like the silver-haired old man wouldn't die first. Maybe they could escape to the exit, but the cultivators of the first godly emperor layer would die. Even the cultivators of the second godly emperor layer would be in danger. They thought that the silver-haired old man and the others wanted to kill them so that they could escape. Let's go. Let's go. Instantly, all the cultivators of the first godly emperor layer and some of the cultivators of the second godly emperor layer ran in all directions. They were scattered. The Gale monster couldn't kill so many people at the same time. Now they had to see who was lucky. If they were lucky, they could escape. At the scene, only 8 people did not move, including Lu Ming. Those idiots, shouted the silver-haired old man furiously. Before the silver-haired old man could finish speaking, a shrill scream was heard. A cultivator of the first godly emperor layer was blown away by a strong wind. His body broke like a piece of porcelain and turned into ashes in the scorching heat. Hoo! The fierce wind between heaven and earth suddenly became even more violent, as if countless giant beasts were roaring and rampaging within. Between heaven and earth, the fiery red gale actually formed tornadoes that swept in all directions. A series of miserable cries rang out. Those people who had rushed out were all swept up by the tornadoes. They let out miserable cries of despair before being turned to dust by the tornadoes. That included cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. Cultivators of the second godly emperor layer were much stronger than cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. They could easily kill cultivators of the first godly emperor layer, but in front of that tornado they couldn't do anything. In the blink of an eye, those who had rushed out were all dead. The remaining people had pale faces. Lu Ming finally understood why only the silver-haired old man had managed to escape. Splitting up to escape was of no help at all. Let's continue moving forward using the same method as before, said the silver-haired old man. Then they continued moving forwards, breaking through the strong wind. However, after a short time they were attacked again. A cultivator of the second godly emperor layer was attacked by a monster. He couldn't fight back and was instantly killed. That was the last cultivator of the second godly emperor layer. The others were all cultivators of the third godly emperor layer and above. Of course, Lu Ming was an exception. Apart from Lu Ming, there were 6 people left. 2 cultivators of the fourth godly emperor layer and 4 cultivators of the third godly emperor layer. Attack! Shouted the silver-haired old man extremely loudly. They all attacked together, breaking through the strong wind and moving forwards. Whoosh! Suddenly, a strong wind flashed and an old woman of the third godly emperor layer appeared in front of her. The monster's body was condensed by the strong wind. That wind looked like countless sharp blades. It was scorching hot as it spun around and moved towards the old woman. Die! Shouted the old woman. She had the strength of the third godly emperor layer. She was much stronger than a cultivator of the second godly emperor layer. She shouted furiously, her body glowing with dazzling light. Her hands turned into 2 scimitars and she slashed out violently. Boom! The monster's body was cut into several pieces, but it wasn't injured at all. The pieces of the monster's body condensed back together and continued moving towards the old woman. The old woman's godly emperor layer broke like tofu. Chapter 3800. The old woman had the strength of the third godly emperor layer. Her protective godly aura was broken, and the wind crashed onto her body. She gave a horrible shriek. Attack! shouted the old man with silver hair and the others. They used their full strength to attack the monster. Bam! The monster's body was scattered, turning into gusts of strong wind. It quickly retreated and merged into the surroundings, disappearing without a trace. However, nothing happened at all. The old woman looked miserable. She was covered in blood, and her body had almost been cut into pieces. Her chi was weak. Even though she wasn't dead, she was severely injured. If the others hadn't helped her, she would have died. "Save me. You have to save me," screamed the old woman. She was terrified. She was severely injured, and she was afraid the monster would attack her again. If that happened, she would die. "Left!" shouted someone furiously at that moment. The monster appeared from the left. Everyone hurriedly attacked the left side, but his body flashed and disappeared. In the next moment, he reappeared in another direction. This direction was where the old woman was. Whoosh, whoosh. A strong wind moved towards the old woman. "No!" shouted the old woman. She was terrified, but then she stopped screaming. She was sucked into the wind and turned into ashes. Damn it, damn it. What is that monster? Why can't we kill it?" shouted the remaining cultivators of the third godly emperor layer furiously, as if they had gone insane. The old woman's cultivation level was similar to theirs. If the monster could kill the old woman, it could kill them too. How could they not go crazy? "What do we do? What do we do?" asked a big man of the third godly emperor layer. He was terrified. "Find that monster and use your full strength to attack it. I don't believe there's anything in the world that can't be killed. Maybe our method is wrong. Maybe we need to consume its energy, but we don't have enough." A clear and bright voice could be heard. It was Lu Ming. Lu Ming's words made the others' eyes twinkle. "That's right. Maybe it's because our attacks aren't strong enough. Every time we attack, we're actually draining the monster's energy. Let's continue attacking. As long as we keep attacking, the monster's energy will be depleted," said the old man with silver hair. "Even so, we can't find any traces of that monster. How are we going to attack it?" said another cultivator of the fourth godly emperor layer. He looked like a 30-year-old man with a square face. He was extremely strong. His name was Jaundice. "That's right, I can't find any traces of him at all. Do we have to continue being bait? Then we'll all be killed by that monster before we can even defeat it." The others were all talking at once, their expressions ugly. Previously, when they attacked the monsters, it was the monsters that came out to kill. When they didn't come out to kill, the monsters would blend into the strong wind and couldn't be found. "Leave this to me, I'll look for it," Lu Ming said. "You came? Can you really find it?" The rest of the people looked at Lu Ming with anticipation. Lu Ming was so young, yet his battle prowess was heaven-defying. He was definitely a monster from a large faction. Perhaps he really did have the means to find monsters. As long as they could find traces of the monster, they would not be so passive. "Let me try." Lu Ming nodded. Of course, he wasn't relying on himself, he was relying on Guemo. Guemo had just told him that he might be able to find traces of the monster. After a period of research, Bone Devil already had a clue. "Master Guemo, how is it?" Lu Ming asked Guemo soon. Guemo was sitting cross-legged in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. His pitch-black bones were shining. He looked holy and pure. He was doing his best to find the monster. "I found it. Attack the right side," said Guemo suddenly. "Attack the right side," shouted Lu Ming suddenly. He threw a punch towards the right side. The silver-haired old man and the others didn't hesitate, they followed Lu Ming's attack. 6 people, 6 attacks blasted towards the right. The gale in that direction was constantly exploding. Then they saw a blurry figure being destroyed by their attacks. It was really that monster. They really found it. The silver-haired old man, Jaundice, and the others were ecstatic. They looked at Lu Ming with anticipation. "Let's move slowly. I'll find traces of the monster," said Lu Ming. "All right, you can search in peace. I guarantee that the monster won't hurt you," said the silver-haired old man. "That's right," Jaundice said. Now Lu Ming was their only hope to escape. They would never let Lu Ming be attacked by the monster. They moved and protected Lu Ming in the middle. Huff, huff, huff. As they moved, strong winds blew around them, howling incessantly. "Behind me!" Suddenly Lu Ming shouted again. Boom, boom. The 6 of them attacked again. Their attacks were so fierce that the void kept exploding. They wanted to crush everything in that direction. In that direction, the monster's figure appeared. Under the 6 attacks, it dispersed and merged back into the strong wind. "Great ha!" Jaundice laughed excitedly. The others also had smiles on their faces. Once could be a coincidence, but twice in a row Lu Ming found traces of the monster. That was no longer a coincidence. Lu Ming could really find traces of the monster. This way they could hit the monster every time. Even if they couldn't kill the monster couldn't sneak up on them. They could leave this place alive. Next, they followed this method and headed toward the exit. Along the way they hit the monster several times, preventing it from sneaking up on them. However, they found a problem. Could the monster really not be killed after hitting it so many times? Fortunately, they could now detect the monster's traces in advance. Otherwise they would be in danger and would be left here. Seeing that they were not far from the exit, they slowly relaxed. Huff huff huff. At this moment the strong wind around them roared crazily. It was even more violent than before. The endless strong wind spun rapidly around them like a tornado. They seemed to be shrouded in the center of the tornado. Then, in one direction, the monster's figure was faintly discernible in the strong wind. Be careful, it seems that the monster is about to launch an all-out attack, reminded the silver-haired old man. Obviously, seeing that they were about to escape, I'm going crazy. I want to attack them head-on and defeat them. No, there's more than one monster. There are two, three. Suddenly someone cried out in alarm. His voice was filled with terror. Chapter 38:01. Lu Ming, the silver-haired old man, Jaundice, and the others were also greatly alarmed. They swept their gazes around and discovered that one figure after another had appeared amidst the raging winds. All of them were figures of monsters that looked exactly the same. 1, 2, 3. A total of 9. 9 monsters appeared and surrounded them. The faces of the silver-haired old man, Jaundice, and the others turned ashen. The reason for that was because those were definitely not illusions. Instead, they truly existed. Those 9 monsters were all real. There were actually a total of 9 such monsters. One of them was already difficult enough to deal with, but now there were actually 9 of them. We're finished, shouted a strong cultivator of the third godly emperor layer. He looked desperate. Although the others didn't shout, their eyes were also filled with despair. Only Lu Ming was better off. Along the way, Lu Ming had experienced too many dangerous situations and faced too many crises. He was very clear in his heart that the more dangerous the situation, the calmer he had to be. Moreover, he still had a trump card. He would carry the purple copper coffin with him. If it did not work, he could just open the purple copper coffin and risk his life. Hoo-hoo-hoo, the gale whistled and became even more violent. Then, the 9 monsters moved at the same time, bringing with them a terrifying gale as they charged towards Lu Ming's group. The scorching heat even burned through space. A strong wind that was countless times sharper than a blade swept towards Lu Ming's group of 6. 2 attacked the silver-haired old man, 2 attacked Jaundice, and the remaining 5 attacked Lu Ming and the 3 cultivators of the third godly emperor layer. Even through Qiuqiu's armor, he could still feel the terrifying heat. Break! Lu Ming brandished the silver spear that Qiuqiu had transformed into. The silver spear was suffused with the radiance of moonlight, breaking apart the terrifying gale. But Lu Ming could break the gale, and the other 3 cultivators of the third godly emperor layer weren't as strong. I can't accept this, shouted someone furiously. One of the cultivators of the third godly emperor layer was attacked by 2 monsters at the same time. He couldn't compete with them and was killed instantly. No, I don't want to die here. I want to charge out, shouted the remaining 2 cultivators of the third godly emperor layer furiously. They wanted to run away. However, their fate was already sealed. When they rushed into the gale, they were immediately attacked by several monsters. After 2 screams, they stopped breathing. Thus, only the silver-haired old man Jaundice and Lu Ming were left. The silver-haired old man and Jaundice had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, medium-level godly emperors. They were much stronger than cultivators of the 3rd godly emperor layer. The 2 of them used their full strength to block the 2 monsters' attacks. They even had the upper hand. However, the monsters were immortal. Once they were defeated, they would quickly reform. Lu Ming wasn't that strong himself, but with Qiuqiu's help, he had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, or even higher. Qiuqiu had already broken through to the 2nd godly emperor layer. After turning into a silver spear, he was terrifyingly strong. He could definitely compete with cultivators of the 4th godly emperor layer. He could even kill them. Lu Ming relied on Qiuqiu to block the monsters' attacks. However, after the monsters killed the 3 cultivators of the 3rd godly emperor layer, they started to gather and surround Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, the silver-haired old man, and Jaundice also gathered together and joined hands to fight against the monsters. The 9 monsters stirred up a strong gale and launched a fierce attack at them. The 3 of them could only defend themselves. They couldn't break out. The silver-haired old man and Jaundice pulled long faces. The situation wasn't good. If it continued, they might not be able to break out. I understand now. I finally understand. It's not that these so-called monsters can't die, but that they aren't his true body. At this moment, Bone Demon shouted in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. Not his real body? Master Guillermo, what do you mean? Asked Lu Ming hastily. It's very simple. The real monster hasn't shown up yet. The ones attacking you are his energy clones. Therefore, when you defeat him and consume his energy, his real body will replenish his energy and create an illusion that he's immortal. As long as you can find his real body and attack it, you'll be able to destroy the monster. Explained Guillermo. I see. Master Guillermo, can you find the real body of the monster? Asked Lu Ming. No problem. I've already found some clues. I'll be able to find it soon, said Guillermo. His head was shining. He was looking for the monster's real body. I know how to get rid of those monsters, said Lu Ming to the silver-haired old man and Jaundice at that moment. You have a solution? What is it? When the silver-haired old man and Jaundice heard Lu Ming, they were suddenly excited. They looked desperate before, but now they had hope again. Do you know why those monsters can't be killed? It's because they aren't his real body. His real body hasn't shown up. Those are his clones. Lu Ming repeated Gumo's explanation. I see. No wonder it's so hard to kill them. Little brother, do you have a way to find the monster's real body? Asked the silver-haired old man. Yes, I found it. It's in that direction. At that moment, Guillermo found the direction of the monster's real body and pointed it out to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took the opportunity to point it out. Alright, let's kill our way over. Kill that monster. The silver-haired old man and Jaundice revealed a ferocious glint. Together with Lu Ming, they charged in that direction. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the 9 monsters seemed to be anxious. They gathered together and stirred up an endless gale. They attacked Lu Ming's group crazily, trying to block Lu Ming's group. However, this further confirmed that Lu Ming was right. Jaundice and the silver-haired old man suppressed themselves to the extreme. They used every bit of their strength to attack crazily. Lu Ming waved his silver spear. The dazzling spear light swept across the sky, shattering the 2 monsters. They rushed through and rushed into the strong wind, continuing to move forward. Sure enough, after rushing for a while, they found a figure. This figure looked very similar to the monster, but its body was taller and more solid. In the middle of its head, there was a round bead that was shining. This was definitely the monster's real body. There was no mistake. Kill? The silver-haired old man and Jaundice became excited and rushed toward the monster's real body. However, in front of the monster's real body, 9 figures condensed. They were the 9 clones. The 9 clones blocked in front of them. However, at this point, Lu Ming's group had no way out. They could only kill the monsters to survive. The 3 of them joined forces and turned into 3 terrifying attacks, attacking the 9 monsters. Boom boom boom. The collision of the gale and the divine light triggered a terrifying wave of energy that swept in all directions. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 3802. Lu Ming and the other 2 joined forces and fought the 9 clones with all their might. Obviously, the 9 monsters were also going all out and attacking crazily. In the end, Lu Ming and the rest broke through the encirclement of the 9 monsters, but they also paid a price. Lu Ming was still fine. He had Qiuqiu's armor, which offset most of the attack power. Although some of the gale cut through Qiuqiu's armor, when it landed on Lu Ming's body, it did not cause much damage to Lu Ming. With Lu Ming's heaven-defying recovery ability, he was basically fine. However, the silver-haired old man and Jaundice were not so lucky. Dense wounds appeared on their bodies, all of which were cut by the gale. Moreover, these wounds healed very slowly because the gale contained a terrifying high temperature, which was constantly burning their wounds. The 2 of them suffered serious injuries, but fortunately they were already close to the monster's body. Kill? 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 The 3 of them shouted and attacked the monster's body. Brr. The monster's body actually let out a beast-like roar, and a gale erupted from its body. Its arms turned into 2 large blades formed by the gale and slashed at Lu Ming and the rest. Boom. 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 After a few consecutive booms, the 3 of them trembled and could not help but retreat. The strength of the monster's body was very shocking, far above the clones. However, it was not so strong that they could still deal with it. The 3 of them retreated and charged at the monster's body again. Both sides fought fiercely, and after dozens of moves, there was no clear victor. This was because the monster's body was the same as the clones. After being destroyed, it would condense again. Hit the bead on the monster's head. Guo transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Attack the bead on its head. Lu Ming said to Jaundice and the silver-haired old man. The moonlight spear was like lightning, breaking through the void and piercing the bead on the monster's head. After receiving Lu Ming's reminder, the silver-haired old man and Jaundice also began to attack the bead on the monster's head. Sure enough, this made the monster nervous. It did not dare to attack freely and began to defend the bead on its head. It was absolutely effective. The three of them did not stop attacking the bead. Finally, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and stabbed the bead with his spear. Clang! The sound of metal clashing rang out. This spear did not shatter the bead, but the monster's body was sent flying by the powerful force. Jaundice and the silver-haired old man took the opportunity to attack out. The monster's body seemed to have been completely infuriated by Lu Ming's move. It let out a terrifying roar and the bead on its head emitted a dazzling glow. Then a powerful force emerged. As soon as the energy from the bead surged out, it turned into a violent gust of wind. This gust of wind then condensed into figures. They were all monster avatars. The aura was the monster's outs. The 9 monster clones roared and pounced on Lu Ming, the silver-haired elder, and Jaundice. As soon as they reached the 3 of them, the 9 monster clones self-destructed. The 9 monster clones self-destructed, creating a destructive force that charged toward Lu Ming and the other 2. Not good. The expressions of the silver-haired old man, Jaundice, and Lu Ming changed drastically. The 3 of them retreated rapidly. In the process of retreating, they performed their strongest defensive techniques. 2 silver shields appeared in front of the silver-haired old man. A yellow mountain appeared in front of Jaundice. As for Lu Ming, he waved his left palm. All kinds of defensive secret skills in the cells in his body erupted, forming multiple layers of defense. The moment the 3 of them set up their defenses, the destructive force surged toward them. Rumble. Their defenses began to tremble violently. A few cracks instantly appeared on the silver-haired old man's silver shield. As for Jaundice's mountain-shaped treasure, it also shook violently and cracks appeared on its surface. In the next moment, the silver-haired old man's shield and Jaundice's mountain-shaped treasure shattered at the same time. The terrifying destructive force rushed toward them. The 2 of them screamed as their bodies were blasted thousands of miles away. They coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. Their bodies were tattered and severely injured. The 2 of them looked extremely terrified. They did not dare to stay any longer. They turned into 2 streaks of light and disappeared into the distance. They were so scared that they fled. While the silver-haired old man and Jaundice were blasted away, Lu Ming was also hit by the destructive force. His various secret techniques only lasted for a breath's time before they were destroyed. The terrifying destructive force bombarded Lu Ming's body. Clang, clang. In the end, even Qiuqiu's armor was cut open. However, Qiuqiu's armor had already blocked a large portion of the attack. The force that landed on Lu Ming's body was very limited. Lu Ming was blasted away and coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. His injuries were quite serious, but he still managed to withstand it. What a terrifying force. Lu Ming was secretly alarmed. He wanted to copy the silver-haired old man and Jaundice and escape. At this moment, Bone Demon's voice sounded, "Now is a good opportunity. That monster has stimulated the power in the bead and unleashed a big move. It is now in a weakened state. Take the opportunity to take away that bead and destroy the will on it." Lu Ming immediately stopped in his tracks. Without any hesitation, he rushed towards the monster. The monster revealed a look of fear. It roared and actually turned to leave. However, how could Lu Ming let it leave? He raised his speed to the limit and caught up to the monster in a few flashes. He grabbed at the bead with his big hand. Bone Demon was right. The monster was now in a weakened state. Although it tried its best to resist, it did not have much power. Lu Ming's claw pierced through it and he successfully grabbed the bead. The bead vibrated non-stop. There was a wisp of spiritual will attached to it. This was the origin of the monster. A wisp of spiritual will attached to the bead and borrowed the power of the bead to condense Liefeng's body. Squeak, 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 squeak. It sounded like a mouse in panic. Die for me. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. The taboo force rushed towards the bead and began to erase this wisp of spiritual will. The taboo force was the most terrifying force in the world. This wisp of spiritual will could not stop it at all. It screamed a few times with unwillingness before it was completely obliterated by the taboo force. When this wisp of spiritual will was obliterated, the surrounding Liefeng suddenly became much smaller and calmer. It was not as violent as before. The bead also fell into Lu Ming's hand. What is this bead? It can actually erupt with such powerful energy? Lu Ming stared at the bead and pondered. Then his spiritual will approached the bead, wanting to investigate it. Just as Lu Ming's spiritual will entered the bead, a shocking scene appeared. Lu Ming seemed to hear a rumble, and then the environment suddenly changed. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 3803. With a bang, Lu Ming felt like he had arrived in an unfamiliar starry sky. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. In front of him, a man was standing in the starry sky, roaring. Every single strand of his hair stood on end. Terrifying energy surged out of his body unceasingly. A gale. The energy rushing out of the man's body was a gale. This gale was countless times more terrifying than the one Lu Ming and the others had encountered before. It swept through the starry sky, attacking Lu Ming. Not good, it's over. Lu Ming turned pale with fright. This gale was too strong. Compared to it, Lu Ming felt like an ant. He couldn't resist at all. In an instant, the gale dashed in front of Lu Ming. Just as Lu Ming thought that he was going to be killed by the gale, he realized that the gale did not hurt him at all. It dashed past him and went far away in an instant. It was as if his body was illusory, not real. What's going on? Could it be that everything I saw was fake? Was it all an illusion? Or was this just a projection from a certain time period? Various thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Whoosh! Gale was constantly rushing out of that man's body. This gale was too strong, so strong that it could destroy heaven and earth. The raging winds swept through the starry skies. Wherever they passed, all the planets were turned into ashes. Some of the planets had living beings living on them, and there were also powerful beings with high cultivation. However, none of these powerful beings could escape. They were all turned into ashes under the raging winds. Only a few resource planets collapsed. But the core metal remained, condensing into small pieces that floated in the starry sky. The boundless starry sky was engulfed by the raging winds, and everything was shrouded by them. Could this be the origin of the Gale Star River? Lu Ming's eyes widened. He was shocked by his own guess. However, this might be the truth. The Gale Star River might have been formed like this. The energy that emerged from a person's body could actually destroy an entire star river, turning it into a place where the gale would wreak havoc for billions of years. It was unknown what level his cultivation had reached. It was too terrifying. Lu Ming had once heard from the Measure Character Manual that someone had used the Ice Character Manual to freeze a galaxy. Lu Ming had thought that the Measure Character Manual was just bragging. How vast was a galaxy? It was almost boundless, containing countless planets and small worlds. How could such a vast territory be frozen by human strength? That wasn't like blowing up a planet. That was countless times harder than blowing up a planet. But now, Lu Ming believed it because the truth was right in front of his eyes. I'm unwilling. The man roared again. His hair and beard fluttered, and with a final boom, his entire body exploded. An even more terrifying energy swept through the starry sky. When the energy dissipated, a bead appeared in the starry sky. This bead was exactly the same as the one Lu Ming had grabbed before. So that was how the bead was formed. One of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques, Great Divine Wind Technique. Suddenly, a piece of information was transmitted to Lu Ming's mind. This piece of information was a secret skill. The 3,000 ancient secret techniques. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. The secret techniques in this world were roughly divided into 3 types. The first type was the secret techniques of the origin, which were comprehended from divine power. As long as one had enough talent, they could comprehend them from divine power. Furthermore, they had great potential and were powerful enough to comprehend them for a lifetime. The other type was the physique secret technique. The requirements to cultivate a physique secret technique were harsh. Not many people could successfully cultivate it. Those who could were practically all heavenly geniuses. The third type was the ordinary secret techniques. There were tens of thousands of ordinary secret techniques. There were all kinds of them. There were offensive, defensive, speed, support, and even alchemy, tool forging, and so on. This was also the type that most people cultivated. However, ordinary secret techniques were mostly used as support. They weren't very powerful. Even if they were cultivated to a high realm, it would be difficult for them to contend with the source secret techniques. However, there was a small portion of ordinary secret techniques that were special. That was the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. As the name suggested, there were 3,000 types of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. These 3,000 ancient secret techniques were the strongest ordinary secret techniques in the world. They were extremely powerful and had amazing potential. It was said that cultivating the 3,000 ancient secret techniques to the peak was no worse than cultivating the source secret techniques to the peak. Moreover, the cultivation of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques mainly relied on one's comprehension. Those with high comprehension could continue to comprehend and improve their realm. There was no need to sever the shackles like the source secret techniques. However, the 3,000 ancient secret techniques were extremely difficult to cultivate and were too rare. As time passed, many of them were lost. They were extremely rare now. Lu Ming didn't expect to encounter one of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques here. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Lu Ming's current body was cultivating the taboo power. He needed to continuously integrate ordinary secret techniques. However, he had integrated more than 500 ordinary secret techniques, but none of them could take on great responsibilities alone. None of them were powerful. When Lu Ming fought now, he relied more on the taboo power and brute force. If there was one of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques, it would be different. Moreover, when the taboo body reached the end, he needed to create his own technique according to the thousands of secret techniques he cultivated and walk his own path. In that case, the stronger the secret technique integrated at the beginning, the better. The arrival of the Great God Wind technique was like adding wings to a tiger. At this moment, the surrounding scene changed again and disappeared. Lu Ming returned to the original world. Lu Ming, be careful, someone is attacking you. At this moment, Guillemot reminded him. Boom. Swoosh. At the same time, Lu Ming sensed that there were terrifying attacks coming at him from behind and on his right. The power was shocking and the speed was very fast. It was so fast that it was difficult for Lu Ming to dodge. The person who attacked had grasped the timing very well. Fortunately, Qiuqiu had turned into armor and was wearing Lu Ming's body. At the critical moment, Lu Ming's figure rushed forward and narrowly avoided the attack from the right. However, he couldn't avoid the attack from behind. Boom. A palm print from behind landed heavily on Lu Ming's back. Lu Ming's body was blasted forward. His blood was in turmoil and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, as Lu Ming rushed forward, he more or less dissipated a part of the force. Moreover, Qiuqiu's armor also blocked a part of the force. Therefore, Lu Ming's injury wasn't very serious. However, a few bones on his back were broken and were recovering quickly. Lu Ming quickly turned around and glanced around. His eyes were filled with cold light. As expected, the ones who attacked him were Jaundice and the silver-haired old man who had escaped previously. Previously, the two of them retreated with injuries. At this moment, their injuries were much better, although they hadn't fully recovered. Guillemot, how long has it been since I got that bead? Lu Ming secretly communicated with Guillemot. 1 day. Guillemot replied. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 3804. 1 day. Guillemot informed him that a day had passed since Lu Ming grabbed the bead and entered that magical world. It was no wonder that the silver-haired elder and Jaundice had recovered from their injuries. Why did the two of you sneak attack me? Lu Ming asked coldly. The silver-haired elder and Jaundice stared at the bead in Lu Ming's hand, emitting a scorching radiance. A divine king's lifespan was 5 stellar years, a divine lord's lifespan was 10 stellar years, and a divine emperor's lifespan was even 100 stellar years. The silver-haired elder and Jaundice were old monsters who had lived for dozens of stellar years. Their minds were extremely sharp. They had been severely injured by the monster and had fled in a panic. However, they quickly reacted and realized the key point. After the monster unleashed its energy, its aura weakened. It was clearly in a weakened state. Of course, they were cautious by nature and did not dare to return rashly. Instead, they waited for their injuries to recover before sneaking back. When they returned, they did not see the monster at all. They only saw Lu Ming holding the bead in a daze. Needless to say, that bead was definitely a precious treasure. The two of them attacked without hesitation. They wanted to kill Lu Ming first and then snatch the bead. As for the friendship they had with Lu Ming when they fought the enemy together, what was that? Could it be eaten? Fortunately, Lu Ming woke up at the critical moment and blocked the attack. Hee hee. The silver-haired elder sneered. He stared at the bead in Lu Ming's hand and said, "Little brother, we obtained this bead when we fought the monster together. Now hand it over." "That's right. This treasure should be divided equally between us," Jaundice added. "If you want to divide the treasure equally, you should have just told me. Why did you sneak attack me? Since you've ambushed me, don't even think about getting this treasure," Lu Ming said coldly. With a thought, the bead was kept in his storage ring. The silver-haired elder and Jaundice's faces darkened. "Kid, you have to think carefully about whether you have the ability to take it all for yourself," the silver-haired elder said coldly. "You can try," Lu Ming said indifferently. The silver spear that Qiuqiu had transformed into pointed at the silver-haired old man. Brother Huang, it seems that this brat is stubborn. Let's join forces and kill this brat first, then we can discuss the distribution of the treasures. What do you think? The silver-haired old man looked at Jaundice. Okay. Jaundice's reply was very simple. As the sound of his voice faded, he stepped out and a powerful aura gushed towards Lu Ming. The silver-haired old man's long hair fluttered as he charged towards Lu Ming. Kill? Lu Ming shouted and took the initiative to attack. His silver spear light was like a rainbow, piercing through the void and shooting towards the silver-haired old man and Jaundice. At the same time, the silver-haired old man and Jaundice also made their moves. Two terrifying attacks attacked Lu Ming, fiercely colliding with the moonlight spear light. At the moment of collision, the moonlight spear light shook violently. The moonlight shone brightly, illuminating the starry sky. The moonlight spear light pierced through the silver-haired old man and Jaundice's attacks, and then flashed past, leaving two bloody holes in their bodies. The two of them retreated at full speed, looking at Lu Ming in astonishment. Your attack power, how is that possible? The silver-haired old man and Jaundice shouted at the same time. They were astonished. How could Lu Ming's attack power be so strong? 1 against 2 and he had managed to injure them in one move. They didn't know that this was actually Qiuqiu's real attack power. Previously, when they had faced that monster, Qiuqiu hadn't been able to use its full power. That monster had been completely condensed by the strong wind, so it had been easy to destroy it. However, it was useless to destroy it because it would condense again. It was as if Qiuqiu's attack had hit nothing but air. At that time, Qiuqiu hadn't been able to use its full power. Qiuqiu had the strength of the second godly emperor layer, and after turning into a silver spear, it could defeat or even kill cultivators of the fourth godly emperor layer. As for Jaundice and the silver-haired old man, they had been injured and hadn't recovered yet, so their fighting strength wasn't at its peak. Naturally, they had been injured by Lu Ming and Qiuqiu's joint attack. Die! Shouted Lu Ming. He attacked the two of them again, not giving them a chance to catch their breath. The silver spear light fell like a meteor, piercing towards the silver-haired old man and Jaundice. At the same time, 3 gravity pearls flew out, and a powerful gravitational force enveloped the two of them. Even though the 3 gravity pearls couldn't have a decisive effect on cultivators of the fourth godly emperor layer, they could still interfere with them more or less. The two of them were startled and hastily tried to defend themselves. However, they were already injured and their fighting strength wasn't at its peak. They were also suppressed by the gravity pearls, so their fighting strength was even weaker. They were no match for Lu Ming and Qiuqiu. The two of them were pierced by the spear light. Jaundice's heart was pierced by the spear light, and he was nailed to the ground. He coughed up blood and his face was deathly pale. The silver-haired old man's stomach was pierced by the spear light, and he was sent flying a few hundred li away. Lu Ming wouldn't miss such an opportunity. He didn't waste any time. He fused with his spear and turned into a dazzling spear light which shot towards Jaundice. No! Jaundice let out a roar of despair. In the next instant, the silver spear had already pierced through his forehead. His soul naturally couldn't escape and was crushed by the destructive power of the spear light. Jaundice had died. A few hundred li away, the silver-haired old man was scared out of his wits. He didn't care about his injuries and started running away. Lu Ming groaned coldly. He turned into a spear light and chased after the silver-haired old man. The silver-haired old man had been severely injured, and his speed had decreased greatly. Lu Ming chased after him with all his strength, and the distance between them was getting shorter and shorter. Little brother, it's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. I don't want your treasure anymore. It's yours. Shouted the silver-haired old man in fear. It's too late to say that. When you attacked me by surprise, you didn't show any mercy. Lu Ming said coldly. Little brother, I was wrong. I was blinded by lard just now. I won't do it again. As long as you let me go, I'll be your slave, the silver-haired old man shouted. Seeing that the distance between him and Lu Ming was getting closer, he was so scared that he couldn't stop trembling. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with him. He controlled the gravity orb, and the strong gravity pressed down on the silver-haired old man. The silver-haired old man's speed was slowed down by the gravity, and Lu Ming caught up with him in an instant. Little bastard, I'll fight it out with you. Seeing that Lu Ming didn't intend to let him go, the silver-haired old man became ruthless. His face was distorted and he turned around to attack Lu Ming. However, it was useless against Lu Ming. The silver spear light flashed. The silver-haired old man, who was already injured, couldn't withstand a single blow. He barely blocked 2 moves before being swept by the spear. His body exploded, leaving only his head behind as he fled frantically. Lu Ming raised his hand and thrust out his spear. The silver-haired old man's head exploded, and his body and soul were destroyed. Chapter 38:05. After killing the silver-haired old man, Lu Ming kept the storage rings of the silver-haired old man and jaundice. Then he took out the bead again and started to think. Lu Ming actually obtained the 3,000 ancient secret techniques from this bead. Moreover, he felt that the bead contained a terrifying flame storm. Previously, that monster had activated a wisp of energy from the bead and formed 9 clones to self-destruct. Lu Ming was considering whether he should cultivate the Great Divine Wind Technique. Senior Bone Demon, do you think I should cultivate the Great Divine Wind Technique? Lu Ming asked Bone Demon. Cultivate, this is the 3,000 ancient secret techniques, why not? Bone Demon said. But I saw a powerful existence self-destruct in the end. Lu Ming hesitated and told Bone Demon about the scene he saw before. So it's because of this, then there's no need to worry. Cultivating the Great Divine Wind Technique will definitely not cause self-destruction. The reason why the man you mentioned self-destructed, I reckon that his cultivation had reached a certain level and he wanted to break through to the next realm. In the end he failed and self-destructed. The further one cultivates, the harder it is to improve. Breaking through is also dangerous. This is very normal. Bone Demon explained. Lu Ming suddenly understood and finally felt relieved. He was worried that the powerful existence he saw had self-destructed because he was cultivating the Great Divine Wind Technique. Now that it turned out not to be the case, he could cultivate in peace. Lu Ming planned to cultivate the Great Divine Wind Technique here. There was still more than a year before the 3 years he set. Moreover, this place was filled with strong winds. It was the best place to cultivate the Great Divine Wind Technique. It was simply blessed by the heavens and had a great effect on the cultivation of the Great Divine Wind Technique. Lu Ming kept the bead and silently went through the cultivation method of the Great Divine Wind Technique in his mind. Then he began to cultivate. The 3,000 ancient secret techniques were very difficult to cultivate. Even the entry level was astonishingly difficult. Ordinary people might cultivate for a lifetime and still not be able to touch the threshold. Even a genius would need to spend a lot of time to cultivate before they could succeed. However, for Lu Ming it was not that difficult. Firstly, Lu Ming's comprehension was at an abnormal level. Secondly, Lu Ming had already cultivated more than 500 kinds of secret skills. He could comprehend them by analogy. He had experience in cultivating secret skills that others could not. Thirdly, this place was filled with strong winds that had not dissipated for hundreds of millions of years. This was left behind by the terrifying expert who cultivated the Great Divine Wind Technique. Lu Ming could use it as a reference. It was equivalent to half an expert guiding him. With these 3 conditions, it was not difficult for Lu Ming to cultivate the entry level. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, soon more than a year's time. Whoosh! Between heaven and earth, a figure flashed rapidly. Every time a figure flashed brought up. Lu Ming seemed to be wrapped in a layer of strong wind. Wherever he passed by, the strong wind would automatically disperse. It did not affect Lu Ming at all. Boom! In the end, Lu Ming condensed a hurricane. With a palm strike, the hurricane formed a terrifying force that cut the void into pieces. Off! Lu Ming let out a long breath and stopped. The wind around his body also dissipated. As expected of the Great Divine Wind Technique. So powerful. It's far from being comparable to ordinary secret techniques. Lu Ming praised with a smile on his face. After more than a year of cultivation, Lu Ming finally succeeded in cultivating the Great Divine Wind Technique. It turned into a secret technique rune and integrated into a cell. Lu Ming had just succeeded in cultivating the Great God Wind Technique, but he discovered that the power of the Great God Wind Technique was far above that of ordinary secret skills. Under the activation of his taboo power, the power was even stronger than that of the secret skill of the origin that had severed 3 shackles. It seems that I still need to spend more time on the Great Divine Wind Technique in the future. Lu Ming thought. The Great Divine Wind Technique was different from other secret techniques. For other secret techniques, it was integrated into the cells and let the scattered soul in the cells slowly comprehend it. After a long time, it would naturally increase in maturity. However, the Great Divine Wind Technique was too slow to be comprehended. It needed Lu Ming to personally comprehend it and increase its power. It would become one of Lu Ming's killer moves. And this round bead, with a thought, the round bead appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming named it the Gale Bead. In the past year, Lu Ming had also taken the time to study the Gale Bead. The gale bead contained a terrifying flaming storm. It gave Lu Ming a feeling that if it was released, it could destroy the world. Unfortunately, the gale bead contained layers of seals. It was difficult to release the flaming storm in one go. If he wanted to release the storm in the bead, he needed to use the Great Divine Wind technique to guide it. The stronger the Great Divine Wind technique was, the more seals it could break and the bigger the flaming storm it could release. With Lu Ming's current mastery of the Great Divine Wind technique, he could release a terrifying force. This force was far beyond his own strength. This could be Lu Ming's killer move. Lu Ming kept it carefully. 3 years are almost up. I wonder how the sky prides of the various clans are doing now. Let's go out and meet them. Lu Ming smiled. Now that his combat strength had increased greatly, he was looking forward to the clash with the sky prides of the various clans. Lu Ming walked towards the exit. Now that he had mastered the Great Divine Wind technique, the gale was ineffective against him. His speed was much faster. Soon he left the Gale Galaxy. After a while he returned to the Fengdu Sword Sect. As soon as Lu Ming returned to the Fengdu Sword Sect, Sect Leader Wang knew about it and immediately came to see Lu Ming. Sect Leader Wang, you finally dare to come to see me? Lu Ming said indifferently. Sect Leader Wang smiled bitterly and said, Little brother Mu Yun, please forgive me. My Fengdu Sword Sect is just an ordinary force, and those sky prides are all from powerful races on the list of 10,000 races. If I were to go against them, the Fengdu Sword Sect would soon disappear from the desolate universe. Lu Ming could understand Sect Leader Wang. Those powerful races were indeed not something the Fengdu Sword Sect could afford to offend. Just now he was just complaining. Sect Leader Wang, how have the sky prides of the various clans been in the past few years? Have they come to the Iron Sea Star region? Lu Ming asked. They're here, of course they're here, and there's a lot of them. Sect Leader Wang said, Ever since you left, sky prides have been gathering from all over the desolate universe. Some want to challenge you and some are just here to watch the show. However, since you're not here, these sky prides will stay in the Iron Sea Star region. They thought that the elf princess Ling Yue was in the Iron Sea Star region and searched everywhere. Unfortunately, they couldn't find her. However, in the past few years, the Iron Sea Star region has been very lively. It's rare for these sky prides to gather, so they often hold various gatherings to spar with each other, waiting for the 3-year agreement with you. After Sect Leader Wang's explanation, Lu Ming had a rough understanding of the situation in the past few years. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 3806. After Sect Leader Wang's explanation, Lu Ming had a rough idea of what was going on. Are there any gatherings of geniuses? Lu Ming asked. Are you going to look for them? Sect Leader Wang said. Since they're already here, it's not a good idea for me to not show up. The 3 years are almost up, it's time for me to meet them. Lu Ming said with a smile. Little brother Mu Yun, let me warn you. Don't be careless. Even though there are no monstrous geniuses above the godly emperor realm, there are still some terrifying geniuses who are extremely powerful. It's easy for a quasi-emperor to kill a godly emperor. Sect Leader Wang reminded with a solemn expression. Although Lu Ming was extremely talented, his cultivation was still a little weak. Sect Leader Wang was afraid that Lu Ming wouldn't be a match for those geniuses. Thank you for your concern, Sect Leader Wang. I know what I'm doing. Lu Ming said. Seeing Lu Ming so confident, Sect Leader Wang didn't try to persuade him anymore. There's a gathering of geniuses on planet Kuan soon. You can make it if you go there now. Alright. Lu Ming nodded and went straight to planet Kuan without stopping. Planet Kunming Lake was vast and the lake water was as clear as a mirror. One could see many divine fish swimming around in the lake. There was a small island in the center of the lake. At this moment, many geniuses were gathered on the island. These geniuses were from various races and they were all there for Lu Ming. In the past few years, they couldn't find the elven princess, so they often held gatherings to spar with each other while waiting for Lu Ming's arrival. Of course, in addition to the geniuses of various races, there were also geniuses from the 18 forces in the Iron Sea Star Zone. These people were not there to challenge Lu Ming, but to make friends with the geniuses of various races. There was a battle platform in the center of the island. At this moment, 2 young men were sparring on the battle platform. Both of them were 9th-level divine lords and their combat strength was similar. They fought back and forth and it was very lively. Around them, many young men were drinking and watching the battle while chatting. Do you think Mu Yun will show up? It's been almost 3 years. Hee, do you think he will appear again? The reason he said he would fight again in 3 years was just to find an excuse to delay the time. Now that the geniuses of various clans have gathered, How could he have the guts to come out? I think so too. It's best if that guy doesn't come out. His reputation will be ruined from then on. The elven princess will naturally not marry such a person. Even if he appears, there are many people who can suppress him and make him lose face. What is he? He even dared to reject the elven princess? Who does he think he is? Everyone was discussing. When it came to Lu Ming, some sneered and ridiculed him while others had cold gazes. These people's hearts were filled with complicated emotions. If Lu Ming agreed to marry the elf princess, they would be unhappy. They would think that Lu Ming was not qualified and would want to kill Lu Ming. However, they were even more displeased that Lu Ming had rejected the elf princess. They had tried so hard to woo her, but Lu Ming had rejected them? Didn't that mean that they were even more trashy and were pursuing something that others did not want? In short, they wanted to suppress Lu Ming and make Lu Ming lose face. In this way, not only would they gain face, but Lu Ming and the elf princess's marriage would also be ruined. It was killing two birds with one stone. Look, who's that? Suddenly, someone pointed at the lake in the east and shouted. Everyone couldn't help but look in that direction. On the lake in the east, a young man was walking on the waves looking very suave. This young man was naturally Lu Ming. It's Mu Yun. He finally showed up. I didn't expect him to really show up. Very good. Many people stood up and revealed cold gazes. The two young men who were sparring on the battle platform also stopped and looked at Lu Ming. Whoosh. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. In a few steps he arrived at the small island. He flew in the air and landed on the battle platform in the middle of the island. The two young men in the battle platform quickly retreated, not daring to face Lu Ming. In fact, although there were many geniuses present, not many of them dared to fight with Lu Ming. After all, back then Lu Ming had defeated Xiao Dao, who was a famous genius among the quasi-emperors. He was indeed powerful. Everyone's eyes fell on Lu Ming. "Muyin, you're finally here. Fight with me again." A voice was heard. A purple light flashed and a young man appeared on the battle platform. Xiang Prefecture. This young man was actually from Xiang Prefecture. Xiang Prefecture is going to fight. I heard that his Eastern Purple Chi technique has made a breakthrough again. He wants to defeat Mu Yun and reclaim his honor. In the Purple Sun Prefecture, he can be considered a top figure. Not many people can break through immediately after being defeated after being humiliated. Many people were discussing. Lu Ming glanced at Xiang Prefecture and shook his head. "You're not my match. There's no need to fight anymore." "How would you know that I'm not your match if we haven't fought?" "Lu Ming, aren't you overconfident?" Xiang Prefecture said. His body was shrouded in purple light and his battle intent was strong. After being defeated by Lu Ming, he didn't feel disheartened. Instead, he felt humiliated and made a breakthrough in his Eastern Purple Chi technique, allowing his battle strength to reach a higher level. Back then it wasn't easy for Lu Ming to defeat him. There was a limit to how much stronger he was. Now that his battle strength had increased, he was confident that he could compete with Lu Ming. Is this enough? Lu Ming wasn't interested in talking to Xiang Prefecture. He directly released his aura. The people of the Xiangzhou stared with their eyes open wide. 7th level Divine Lord. Xiang Prefecture opened his mouth with a hoarse voice, his eyes full of disbelief. He clearly remembered that in the Resource Alliance agreement, Lu Ming was still just a 5th level Divine Lord. In the end, borrowing his pressure, Lu Ming successfully broke through and reached 6th level Divine Lord, then defeated him. But how long had it been since the Resource Alliance agreement? Just a few years. Lu Ming actually broke through again. When did Divine Lord Realm become so easy to break through? The key was that when Lu Ming was a 6th level Divine Lord, his battle strength was already very terrifying. This kind of prodigy, each breakthrough, his battle strength would have a tremendous increase. This was also to say that after Lu Ming broke through to 7th level Divine Lord, he was not Lu Ming's match at all. No wonder Lu Ming would say that he wasn't Lu Ming's match and didn't need to fight anymore. Indeed, he didn't need to fight anymore. Even if he made a move, it would also be seeking humiliation. At this moment, the battle intent on Xiang Prefecture's body disappeared without a trace. His eyes revealed a hint of dejection. Swoosh. Xiang Prefecture turned around and left, directly leaving Star Kuan. His heart was already in a mess. He needed to find a place to adjust his mentality. The following great battle he did not wish to watch anymore. Xiang Prefecture actually left? What's going on? Didn't even fight and he lost his fighting spirit. Truly a good for nothing. There was an uproar at the scene. Most people did not understand why Xiang Prefecture directly left. They did not know that Lu Ming's cultivation rose from 5th-level Divine Lord to 7th-level Divine Lord within a short few years. If they knew, wonder what their expressions would be? Myriad Dao Dragon Sovereign Myriad Dao Dragon Sovereign. Chapter 3807. What a piece of trash. He's a disgrace to the Ziying race. On one of the seats in the crowd, a purple-robed young man sat in a carefree manner. A cold and disdainful voice came from his mouth. Many people looked at this person with grave gazes. They recognized who he was. He was Zitite Song, the prodigy of the Ziyuan race. The Ziyuan race was ranked 67th on the Eldritch 10,000 races list, which was stronger than the Ziying race. Legend had it that the Ziyuan race and the Ziying race used to be the same race a long time ago, but for some reason the two races split and became the Ziyuan race and the Ziying race. Both races were ranked in the top 100 of the Eldritch 10,000 races list, which showed how terrifying the two races were. However, the Ziyuan race had always thought that they were the orthodox race and looked down on the Ziying race, which was why Zitite Song mocked them. After mocking them, Zitite Song stood up, and purple light burst out from his eyes. He stepped out and landed on the battle platform. Zitite Song is going to attack. Many people's eyes lit up. Zitite Song was also a quasi-emperor, but he was more famous and stronger than Pashao Dao in the Ziyang state. In particular, the powerful prodigies present all smiled. Zitite Song's attack was enough to test Lu Ming's strength, so they could respond. Boom. Zitite Song's body was enveloped by a layer of purple light, which was filled with a luxurious aura. It looked very similar to the Ziyang state. He's going to attack. Quick. Many people took out their illusory divine jades and directly broadcast the battle live. Many people across the universe immediately received the news and opened their illusory divine jades to watch the battle. Muyan, make your move. Use all your strength. I want to suppress you in front of everyone. Zitite Song said in a domineering manner. Let's see if you have the ability to force me to use my full strength. Lu Ming said indifferently. How arrogant. Purple Sun Divine Art, Purple Chi from the east. Zitite Song shouted and clenched his fist. 2 wisps of purple chi flew over from the distant sky and were caught by Zitite Song. He was also using the purple chi from the east, which was exactly the same as the one in the Ziyang state. It seemed that the two races were from the same origin. Kill. A pair of purple wings condensed behind Zitite Song's back. With a flap of his wings, his figure charged towards Lu Ming like a bolt of purple lightning. At the same time, the 2 strands of purple gas in his hands turned into 2 purple divine swords and slashed towards Lu Ming. Space was sliced apart like a piece of paper by the purple sword. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming's attack was very simple. He directly swung his fist to meet the attack. When he made his move, Lu Ming had already activated 5 times his combat power. Clang. Clang. Lu Ming's fists were like 2 sledgehammers as they smashed onto the purple divine sword. An earth-shattering boom erupted as the 2 figures rapidly retreated. However, Lu Ming only retreated 3 steps before he stabilized his figure. As for Zitite Song, he retreated explosively. He retreated several dozen steps before he staggered and stabilized himself. By the time he steadied himself, his face was already flushed red. In the first move he was completely at a disadvantage. Your strength is not bad. You are slightly stronger than Ziyang's state. However, you are no match for me now. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Previously, Lu Ming had not used the gravity orb. He had only used his own strength to suppress Zitite Song. One should know that Ziyang's state could kill an ordinary first-layer Divine Emperor. Zitite Song was stronger than Ziyang's state. He could easily kill an ordinary first-layer Divine Emperor. He was a terrifying monster. He was far from being comparable to an ordinary person. However, Lu Ming had only used his own strength to suppress him. Purple Origin Divine Armor. Zitite Song shouted as his purple hair fluttered in the wind. An armor appeared on his body and wrapped around him. This was a secret treasure refined by the Ziyang tribe. Once worn, it could increase one's combat power. It could increase one's offensive and defensive strength. Boom. After putting on the Purple Origin Divine Armor, Zitite Song charged toward Lu Ming with a violent aura, just like a violent dragon. The 2 purple swords in his hands were even more powerful. They whistled as they slashed towards Lu Ming. Interesting. Lu Ming's lips curled up. He did not use the gravity orb. Instead, he used his forbidden strength to fight back. Lu Ming rushed out. All the cells in his body were trembling. Apart from the great divine wind skill, he gathered all the offensive secret skills on his fists and threw them out continuously. The violent fist energy created a spatial storm and crushed towards Zitite Song. Boom. 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 The 2 of them clashed fiercely. In the blink of an eye they had exchanged dozens of blows. The terrifying energy shocked many people. Many people who were watching the battle through the illusory divine jade turned solemn. Such combat power had completely surpassed the Divine Lord realm. Ordinary first-layer divine emperors would not be able to participate in such a battle. If they got close they would be injured. He was already considered a top genius in the primitive universe. However, although Zi Taizong's combat power had increased with the help of the Purple Origin divine armor and could temporarily fight against Lu Ming, he was still no match for Lu Ming. After exchanging dozens of blows, Lu Ming's fist hit the Purple Origin divine armor on Zi Taizong's chest. Lu Ming's fist contained hundreds of offensive secret skills and taboo powers. All of them erupted. Even though the Purple Origin divine armor had amazing defensive strength, it could not withstand the blow. The place where it was hit caved in. The terrifying power hit Zi Taizong's body, causing him to groan. His body flew out like a cannonball and blood spurted out of his mouth. Lu Ming was at a disadvantage in one move. He would not give him another chance. His figure followed closely behind Zi Taizong and his fists landed like a violent storm. Although Zi Taizong tried his best to block, he could only block a few blows. After that, he was hit continuously. His body flew out of the battle platform and he coughed out blood. Dozens of his bones were broken and cracks appeared on the Purple Origin divine armor. Zi Taizong had lost and he had lost miserably. This made the faces of most of the spectators turn ugly. Mu Yun's combat power has increased again. He's even stronger than when he fought against Xiao Dao. Indeed, when he fought against Xiao Dao, he used 2 stone beads that could release gravity. However, he did not use them this time. This means that he still has a trump card. Everyone's faces became more solemn as they discussed. Who else wants to fight? Lu Ming stood in the arena and continued to issue challenges. His fighting spirit was soaring. Most of the youths present looked at each other. In the end they all looked at a few people. Although there were many elites present, there were not many who could fight against Lu Ming. I'll do it. At that moment a youth stood up. His long robe fluttered in the wind. It's Shalu 19 from the Xiayin tribe. Many people recognized this youth. The Xiayin tribe was ranked 56th on the Eldritch 10,000 tribes list. It was a tribe more powerful than the Purple Origin race. Shalu 19 from the Xiayin tribe was one of the best in the Xiayin tribe. He was very powerful and was very famous among the quasi-emperors in the Eldritch universe. This was because this person was close to being on the quasi-emperors list. Chapter 3808. The top 100 quasi-emperors list was not an official list. It was a list made by many people in their spare time. It imitated the Universe Genius list and listed 100 quasi-emperors. These 100 quasi-emperors could be said to be the ceiling of the quasi-emperors. Each one of them was terrifying and extremely powerful. Slaughter 19, who killed the Seal tribe, was a peerless genius who almost made it into the top 100 quasi-emperors list. Everyone looked hopeful. They hoped that killing 19 would be able to suppress Lu Ming. Slaughter 19 stepped into the air and landed on the battle platform, standing opposite Lu Ming. A cold and terrifying murderous intent permeated the air, causing the temperature of the entire world to drop. Muyan, very good. It's the first time I've seen such a battle prowess at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm. I will suppress you and trample on your pride to make my name as an invincible one, helping me ascend to the Quasi-Emperor's top 100 list. Slaughter 19 clasped his hands behind his back, looking unparalleled in the world. Needless to say, this person was extremely conceited. Lu Ming almost laughed. This guy had not even made it into the top 100 Quasi-Emperors list. How could he be so confident? Therefore, Lu Ming said directly, "You haven't even made it into the top 100 Quasi-Emperors list, yet you are so arrogant. Aren't you afraid that others will laugh their heads off?" "What did you say?" Slaughter 19's face darkened. His murderous intent became even colder. "Well, I will make it simple. I said that you are a piece of trash. Do you understand?" Lu Ming said indifferently. "Boy, how dare you insult me? You are courting death." Slaughter 19 jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He stared at Lu Ming with a ferocious expression. Dazzling rays of light burst forth from his body. 2 runes appeared on his palms and he blasted them toward Lu Ming. The 2 seals exuded terrifying fluctuations and contained terrifying power. They directly shattered the void and pressed toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming threw out 2 punches and shattered the 2 seals. However, this was only the prelude to Slaughter 19's attack. Madra of Slaughter, Madra of Absolute Death. Shedding 19 roared and waved their hands. Countless talisman seals appeared around them, each of which glowed with divine light and surged with murderous intent. Boom. 9 consecutive talismans gathered together and shot toward Lu Ming. Its power was many times stronger than the previous 2 talismans. The Killing Imprint race was born with the ability to control the killing sigil. The godly energy they cultivated was the godly energy of slaughter. The origin secret technique they awakened was the Slaughter Imprint technique. When cultivated to the peak, they could slaughter everything under the heavens. It was incomparably terrifying. Wherever the slaughter sigil passed, the void was constantly destroyed. With the power of destruction, it charged towards Lu Ming. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming clenched his fists trying to resist. However, when Lu Ming's fists collided with the slaughter mudra, he felt waves of terrifying slaughter energy rushing towards him. Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he couldn't help retreating a few steps. Mu Yun has been pushed back. He's at a disadvantage. He's going to lose. When the surrounding elite saw that Lu Ming was forced to retreat, they jumped to their feet excitedly as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They were all supreme talents from various races, but during this period they were suppressed by Lu Ming, a mere disciple of the Fengdu sword sect, to the point that they couldn't even lift their heads. They were extremely sullen. When they saw that Lu Ming was finally at a disadvantage, they naturally couldn't suppress their excitement. The Slaughter Mudra of the Slaughter Mudra tribe is indeed powerful, Lu Ming muttered to himself. He couldn't help but sigh at the terrifying talents of these races. Lu Ming might not be a match for Slaughter 19 without the help of the gravity orb. This wasn't because Lu Ming was too weak, but because his opponent was too strong. Where did Lu Ming hang out in the past? It was just the Taishu dynasty, a pseudo-universe level force. How many supreme talents could there be? The Taishu dynasty was nothing in the vast chaotic universe. It was just a speck of dust. And the opponent he was facing now was the top monstrous talent in the entire chaotic universe. In the chaotic universe, how many forces, how many supreme talents, it was hard to count clearly. As for Massacre 19, he was ranked near the top 100 among the countless demonic geniuses and quasi-emperor level demonic geniuses. This kind of person was also someone who had supreme opportunities and terrifying talents. His battle strength itself was abnormally powerful. It was naturally not that easy to deal with him. Lu Ming being able to fight against him as a 7th level Divine Lord already showed the terror of the taboo body. But in the vast universe, there were countless supreme talents. Some people could even contend with the taboo body at the same level. It was also normal. Therefore Slaughter 19 was very proud. He had the capital to be proud. Kill. After Slaughter 19 saw that Lu Ming was pushed back, his aura became even more violent. One after another, Slaughter runes charged toward Lu Ming. Gravity orb. Lu Ming's heart stirred. With a wave of his hand, the gravity orb flew out. However, Lu Ming did not use 3 gravity pearls. He only used 2 of them. 2 gravity orbs were enough to deal with Slaughter 19. But the 2 gravity orbs emitted a powerful gravitational force, enveloping Slaughter 19. Break for me. Slaughter 19 roared. His Slaughter Seal technique burst forth. Several Slaughter Seal technique actually turned into Slaughter swords, slashing through the void, actually wanting to break the gravitational force. He was clearly prepared. He had seen the battle between Lu Ming and Broken Knife before. Only Lu Ming had a stone orb that could release gravity and had been on guard. However, he still underestimated the gravity orb. Although the Slaughter sword slashed open the void, it did not break the gravitational force. The powerful gravitational force pressed down on him, making his body tremble. The Slaughter Seal technique surrounding him also trembled. And the Slaughter Seal technique attacking Lu Ming also trembled, its speed slowing down a lot. Lu Ming's figure flashed, avoiding several Slaughter Seal technique attacks. His body was like a flickering shadow charging towards Slaughter 19, both fists blasting out continuously. Kill. Slaughter 19 roared, using all his strength. The Slaughter Seal technique around him spun rapidly, shining with divine light. One after another, it blasted toward Lu Ming. Boom. 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 Lu Ming swung his fists, colliding head-on with the Slaughter Seal technique. In an instant, the two had exchanged dozens of blows. Finally, some of the Slaughter Seal technique could not withstand Lu Ming's attack and were blown apart by Lu Ming's fists. The Slaughter Seal technique was like a violent current, while Lu Ming went against the current, breaking through the current, approaching Slaughter 19. In the end, Lu Ming defeated Massacre 19's last Massacre Seal with one punch. The violent fist force bombarded Massacre 19's body. Massacre 19 gave a muffled snort and his body flew out of the fighting ring. He landed on the small island and coughed out mouthfuls of blood. He could not move at that moment. He was severely injured by Lu Ming's punch. And this was after Lu Ming showed mercy. Otherwise, he would definitely end up with his body and soul destroyed. Slaughter 19 was defeated. The faces of the geniuses present were extremely ugly. Even Slaughter 19 was no match for Lu Ming. Who else could be a match for Lu Ming? Chapter 3809. There was silence on Kunming Island. Those who were watching the battle through the illusory divine jade in the universe were also silent. Lu Ming's combat strength had really shocked them. It was really shocking for a 7th level divine lord to have such combat strength. Who else wants to fight? Lu Ming stood on the battle platform and continued to challenge. However, no one around the battle platform accepted the challenge. Today there were no peerless demonic geniuses on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. The strongest ones were only demonic geniuses close to the top 100 quasi-emperors list. However, even Massacre 19 was not Lu Ming's match. Would others be able to change the outcome? Lu Ming's eyes swept across the crowd. He could sense that there were a few people who had strong fighting spirit and wanted to fight, but they had scruples. No one else wants to fight? It turns out that your strength is only SOSO. No wonder you don't have the guts to pursue the elven princess and come to find trouble with me. Unfortunately, you found the wrong person. Lu Ming's voice resounded throughout the crowd. Damn it. Damn this guy. The young geniuses around gritted their teeth. Lu Ming's words were like slaps on their faces, making them feel ashamed. They wanted to rush out and fight Lu Ming, but they held back when they thought of Lu Ming's strength. They were extremely sullen. Who knew that a mere disciple of the Fengdu sword sect was so abnormal? If they had known, they wouldn't have mustered so many people and rashly rushed over. Now they were in a difficult position. Many people were watching. Even the elven princess was watching. Some of them even wanted to turn off the illusory divine jade. However, if they turned it off now, wouldn't it mean that they were afraid of Lu Ming and didn't dare to open the illusory divine jade? Looking at a genius who was glaring at him, Lu Ming smiled calmly and said, I know there are some experts among you. How about this? I'll give you a chance. If you want to fight, come at me together. What? Lu Ming actually asked them to fight together? Hearing those words, many people were immediately enraged. He was being looked down upon and looked down upon. What? Don't dare? Come on, I'll take it all. Lu Ming continued. You said it yourself. Don't blame us for bullying you with numbers. Someone spoke up, his intentions stirred. That's right. Since he's so confident, let's spar with him. Another person spoke. You talk too much. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Lu Ming said. Since he wants to fight, we'll fulfill his wish. A bald young man took the lead and rushed onto the fighting ring. As soon as the bald young man moved, several other people also moved and rushed onto the Colosseum. Of course, the Sky Prides present did not rush up like a swarm of bees. There were only a total of 3 young men on the stage. These 3 young men were all monstrous geniuses at the same level as Massacre 19. They were all very powerful. This brat is really arrogant. He wants to fight against 3 people at the same time. Does he think that his battle prowess is comparable to those monstrous geniuses in the top 100 quasi-emperors list? Someone expressed their opinion in the illusory heavenly jade. This brat's talent is indeed amazing. If his cultivation is higher, he can easily enter the top 100 quasi-emperors list. But now he's still a little lacking. Someone else voiced their opinion. However, although they were chatting, their eyes were still fixed on the image projected by the illusory heavenly jade. In the Colosseum of Kunming Island. Boom. Lu Ming and the 3 Sky Prides engaged in a fierce battle. The 4 figures engaged in a fierce battle on the Colosseum. However, Lu Ming still did not use his full strength. He only used 2 gravity orbs. In this way, the 2 sides seemed to be evenly matched and the battle was extremely fierce. The heavens and the earth rumbled. The 4 figures kept flashing and colliding. Every time they collided, it stirred up a terrifying force that swept out in all directions. However, there were layers of formation set up in this area that could block the force. This was the reason why the Sky Prides chose to spar there. Otherwise, with their strength they could easily blow up a planet and the damage they could cause would be too great. The 4 of them exchanged a few hundred blows. In the beginning it was difficult to determine the winner. However, after a few hundred blows, the divine power of the 3 Sky Prides gradually weakened. Lu Ming began to gain the upper hand. Bang! Finally, the first Sky Pride was hit by Lu Ming and flew out of the Colosseum. With another one sent flying, one less Sky Pride was no match for Lu Ming. Not long after, another one was sent flying. The remaining one was even weaker. After 2 blows he was also sent flying. The three sky prides were all injured and coughed up blood. They were sent flying out of the Colosseum. This battle was still won by Lu Ming. The entire place was dead silent. All of the geniuses had terrible looks on their faces. Even the three experts were defeated. Could it be that Lu Ming's combat strength had really entered the top 100 quasi-emperors list? Of course there were some exceptions. They were the local geniuses of the Iron Sea Star Zone. These people were gloating in their hearts. The sky prides of the various races were all high and mighty and did not take them seriously. Although they tried their best to please them, not many of them looked at them seriously. When they looked at them, their eyes were always full of contempt. However, for their own future, the geniuses of the Iron Sea Star Zone could only be thick-skinned and please these people. Naturally, they were quite unhappy, but they did not dare to show it. Now that they saw these people being suppressed by the sky prides of the Iron Sea Star Zone, they were secretly happy. When they looked at Lu Ming, they also felt that Lu Ming was much more pleasing to the eye. Lu Ming naturally did not care about these people's thoughts. He glanced around and said, "It seems that no one can fight me." These words caused many people's faces to turn red. Mu Yun, don't be arrogant. This time there are several experts on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. It's just that they are not on planet Kuan. When they arrive, it will be easy for them to suppress you. Someone shouted. I remember that you said the same thing before coming to the Iron Sea Star Zone. What about now? Lu Ming said lightly. Humph, don't be arrogant. I've already received news that several experts on the top 100 quasi-emperors list are on their way to planet Kuan. If you have the guts, don't leave. Someone shouted. Indeed, several geniuses on the top 100 quasi-emperors list who had just arrived in the Iron Sea Star Zone had said in the dreamy divine jade that they would soon come to planet Kuan. Oh, is that so? Then I'll wait for them here. Lu Ming's eyes flickered a few times. Then he sat cross-legged on the fighting ring and took out a bone bead. He began to absorb energy and store it in his cells to enhance his potential. The reason why he did this was that he was curious about the combat strength of the sky prides on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. Chapter 38:10. Although the top 100 quasi-emperors list was not as formal as the Universe Prodigy list, it was made by many people in their spare time. There would definitely be omissions and some geniuses would not be listed. But it was not far off. The geniuses on the top 100 quasi-emperors list could definitely represent the highest level of quasi-emperors in the primitive universe. The others also waited, including those who were watching through the dreamy divine jade. However, the dreamy divine jade was already in an uproar. Countless people were discussing. Lu Ming actually dared to wait here for the geniuses on the top 100 quasi-emperors list to arrive. He was really bold. Could it be that Lu Ming was holding back his strength? At this moment, there were indeed a few geniuses in the Iron Sea Star group that were heading towards the Star of Kuan. These people were the geniuses on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. Haha, interesting but too arrogant. I'd like to see what other trump cards this kid has. No matter how strong you are, you will still crawl under my feet. These powerful geniuses had different thoughts as they hurried towards the Star of Kuan. Of course, a star group was very vast. It was impossible to connect all the places with wormholes, so it would take some time to reach the destination. More than a day later. Buzz. Ripples appeared in the air above Kunming Lake as a figure suddenly appeared. It was an extremely burly young man with two bull horns on his head. They were like two heavenly blades that pierced the sky. A tyrannical aura spread out from this person. He was only a quasi-emperor, but he gave off a feeling that he could swallow the universe. It was as if a terrifying divine emperor was standing in front of him. It's Nyo Sun from the Divine Ox clan. He's ranked 99 on the top 100 quasi-emperors list. There was a burst of exclamations. Many people were excited and their eyes lit up. The geniuses on the top 100 quasi-emperors list had finally arrived. Although the Divine Ox clan was not ranked high on the Primitive Universe 10,000 races list and had not entered the top 100, it did not mean that there would not be geniuses. Nyo Sun was a peerless genius of the Divine Ox clan. He was extremely powerful and had trampled many geniuses of the top 100 races under his feet. He was considered to be the most talented genius among the younger generation of the Divine Ox clan. Nyo Sun took a step forward and appeared in the air above the fighting stage. His tyrannical aura kept pressing down on Lu Ming. Looks like I'm lucky to be the first to arrive. Let me suppress Mu Yun. Nyo Sun said coldly. After that, he directly made his move. Boom. He took a step forward and a gigantic ox hoof condensed in the sky, stomping down on Lu Ming's head. It looked like a casual kick, but in fact, Nyo Sun had used his full strength. He wanted to trample Lu Ming under his foot. He was also one of the elven princess suitors. He knew that the elven princess was probably watching. He wanted to show off his invincible self in front of the elven princess. He had complete confidence in himself. He had witnessed the battle between Lu Ming and the other Sky Prides. Based on the battle prowess that Lu Ming had displayed, he was confident that he could suppress him. Before the huge hooves landed on the ground, the entire fighting ring shook violently. You really can't wait. I'll fulfill your wish then. Niu Sun's attitude made Lu Ming very unhappy. Therefore Lu Ming directly used 3 gravity orbs. The 3 gravity orbs flew up into the sky, and the violent gravity pressed down on Niu Sun. Niu Sun staggered and almost fell off the fighting ring. The ox hoof that he had condensed also trembled. Whoosh! Lu Ming flashed, dodged the attack of the ox hoof, and appeared above Niu Sun's head. Boom! 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 Lu Ming's feet continuously stomped on Niu Sun. The cells on Lu Ming's feet were also integrated with many leg-type secret techniques. When they erupted, the power was no weaker than his fists. In fact, every cell in Lu Ming's body contained the taboo power. Various secret techniques had been integrated into every cell in his body. Therefore, Lu Ming's entire body was a weapon that could erupt with powerful power. However, Lu Ming was used to attacking with his hands. Therefore, he had always used his hands before. It was the same with his feet. His huge feet stomped on Niu Sun's face. Give him a taste of his own medicine. Mo. Niu Sun let out a loud roar. His horns glowed and 2 saber lights burst out, trying to block Lu Ming's attack. However, the gravity from the 3 gravity orbs was too strong. It was much stronger than the gravity from 2 gravity orbs. No matter how strong Niu Sun was, he could not withstand it. Just the gravity orbs alone were enough to injure Niu Sun. Under the pressure of the gravity, it was very difficult for him to circulate the divine power in his body. His muscles and bones were trembling as if they were about to break. Under such circumstances, how could he block Lu Ming's attack? The attack that he forced out was weak and powerless. Bam! The saber lights burst out from Niu Sun's horns were shattered by Lu Ming's foot. Lu Ming's feet continued to stomp on Niu Sun's face. Niu Sun screamed. His body fell to the ground like a meteorite and crashed heavily on the fighting ring. It was too miserable. One of his horns had been broken by Lu Ming. His nose was crooked and a large part of his face was caved in. Blood was flowing out. Moreover, he was pressed down by the gravity and was lying on the fighting ring like a dead dog. He could not move for a while. The geniuses and the experts who were watching through the dreamy heavenly jade were stunned. They thought that their eyes were playing tricks on them. Niu Sun, a top genius on the quasi-emperor's list, had arrived arrogantly to suppress Lu Ming. In the end, he was defeated by Lu Ming in an instant. He was trampled to the ground by Lu Ming. What the hell was going on? Many people could not react in time. It was not until Niu Sun groaned on the ground for a while that the crowd came to their senses. 3 gravity orbs. So this kid can activate 3 gravity orbs. What a miraculous treasure. Activating 1 gravity orb can increase its power by so much. He seems to have 12 gravity orbs in his hand. Can he activate all of them? Who can defeat him then? That's impossible. Normally, this kind of treasure requires a high cultivation level. If one's cultivation level is not high enough, it will be difficult to activate its power. Otherwise, a weak person can dominate a region with just 1 treasure. That's impossible. It's unrealistic. That's right. I think he can activate the power of 3 gravity orbs at most. The geniuses present were all successors of powerful clans. They had seen and heard of all kinds of treasures. Soon they figured out the mysteries of the gravity orbs. However, even with that being the case, their expressions were still very serious. The power of 3 gravity orbs was already terrifying. Together with Lu Ming's combat strength, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Even someone as strong as Niu Sun would be killed in 1 move if he was careless. Chapter 38:11. Get lost. Lu Ming waved his hand and a ray of divine power swept Niu Sun off the fighting stage. He then kept the gravity orb and the strong gravitational force disappeared. However, at this moment, the void trembled, and the figure of a young man appeared. He was wearing a black robe and he was tall and slender. His face was pale and he was very handsome. Moreover, this person was very handsome. His pale skin and handsome face made him look like a woman. At the same time, a terrifying chill spread out from his body. Sun Moon Tribe Inshang Yangye. Someone exclaimed and was overjoyed. The young man who had just arrived was no ordinary person. He was from the Sun Moon Tribe. The Sun Moon Tribe was ranked 32nd on the primitive 10,000 tribe board. He was born with an extreme Yin body and could control the extreme cold force. Yin Shangyangye was a peerless genius in the Sun Moon tribe and he was ranked 66th on the top 100 Boundary Emperors board. He was much stronger than Nyo Sun. Yin Shangyangye stood in the air and looked around. When he saw the injured Nyo Sun, his eyes narrowed and his gaze froze. Nyo Sun, you are injured? Who injured you, Mu Yun? Yin Shangyangye was in disbelief. Yin Shangyangye, you have to be careful. Mu Yun can activate 3 gravity orbs. The gravitational force is strong and it is at least 5 times stronger than 2 gravity orbs. Nyo Sun said, his face still pale. However, he had thought that the gravitational force of 3 gravity orbs was 5 times stronger than 2 gravity orbs. When Lu Ming had fought against him, he had not activated all of his strength. If he activated all of his strength, the gravitational force would be 10 times stronger. Yin Shangyangye nodded and stepped out. He stood in the air above the fighting stage. Mu Yun, attack. Yin Shangyangye said coldly. After all, he was not Nyo Sun and his combat strength was stronger than Nyo Sun. Even if Lu Ming could activate 3 gravity orbs, he could still protect himself. The moment he spoke, Yin Shangyangye landed on the fighting stage. Against Lu Ming's gravity orbs, it was not wise to stay in the air. It would be easier to resist the gravitational force if he landed on the ground. As soon as his feet touched the ground, a layer of frost immediately appeared on the ground and spread towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt a terrifying chill rush from the soles of his feet to the top of his head, wanting to freeze his entire body. Boom. All the cells in Lu Ming's body trembled and burst out with a terrifying vibrating force. In an instant, the chill was shaken away. Whoosh. At this moment, a pair of wings condensed from ice appeared on Yin Shangyangye's back. With a flap, he arrived in front of Lu Ming. There was a black airflow circling around his body. This was the power of Yin. It was said that a sliver of the power of Yin could freeze an entire planet. Whoosh. The power of Yin coiled around Yin Shangyangye's palm as he slammed it towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not dodge and threw out a punch. There was a terrifying roar and Lu Ming retreated rapidly. There was a layer of ice on his arm and it was spreading toward his body at an alarming speed. A layer of ice armor had already appeared and it seemed as if it was going to freeze every cell in Lu Ming's body. Boom. Lu Ming channeled his forbidden energy and attacked with all his might before finally breaking away from the chill. The power of Yin is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming was shocked. There was also the power of Yin in the lesser worlds, but it was completely different from the power of Yin in the primitive universe. The power of Yin in the primitive universe was many times more terrifying than the power of Yin in the lesser worlds. At this moment, Yin Shangyangye charged towards Lu Ming again. I've played enough with you. Lu Ming growled and 3 gravity orbs flew out. Boom. A terrifying gravitational force instantly enveloped the entire fighting stage. Yin Shangyangye's body trembled and he almost lost his balance. Boundless Taiyin freeze? Yin Shangyangye roared, and a tiny wisp of power of Yin appeared between his eyebrows. This wisp of power of the sun seemed small, but its power was even more terrifying. This was Yin Shangyangye's origin secret technique. As soon as the origin secret technique was used, the chill around Yin Shangyangye's body became even more terrifying. Countless cold waves rushed out in all directions, and the void completely froze. It was as if even gravity could be frozen. In fact, the gravity was not frozen but a part of its power was blocked. Primitive ice god body. Yin Shangyangye roared and his body underwent a drastic change. His body became somewhat transparent, like a piece of transparent ice. In the blink of an eye, Yin Shangyangye turned into a 10-meter tall ice man. This was Yin Shangyangye's primitive divine body, which was modeled after the primitive ice god. In this way, Yin Shangyangye could be said to have used all his trump cards. He stepped forward, broke through the gravitational force and charged at Lu Ming. How could Lu Ming be afraid of him? His figure flashed and he punched out. Boom boom boom. The two of them clashed again and this time, it was even more intense than before. Yin Shangyangye's battle strength was indeed terrifying. After going all out, even Lu Ming couldn't do anything to Yin Shangyangye for a while, even with 3 gravity orbs. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no clear victor. The combat ability of the Yin Merchant and Yang Leaf was much stronger than that of Nyo Sun. It was very terrifying. Lu Ming gradually activated the gravity of the 3 gravity pearls. In the beginning, the Yin Merchant and Yang Leaf could withstand it. However, when the power of the 3 gravity orbs reached 90%, Yin Shangyangye finally felt immense pressure. He felt that his body was wrapped in layers of power, and the pressure made it difficult for him to move. He had to use all his strength to break through the gravitational force and block Lu Ming's attacks. At that moment, there were ripples in the air and a figure appeared in the air. This was still a young man. His figure was tall and slender and he was quite handsome. He wore silver silk and had an elegant bearing. However, many people were shocked when they saw the young man. It's 9 Silkworm Prince from the Sky Silkworm tribe. He's here too. He's a terrifying genius ranked 49th on the top 100 Boundary Emperors list. He's even stronger than Yin Shang Yangye. I heard that Yin Shang Yangye was defeated by 9 Silkworm Prince before. Many people exclaimed. 9 Silkworm Prince was very famous among the people who were pursuing the Elven Princess. The Sky Silkworm tribe was ranked 26th on the primitive 10,000 tribes list. They were ranked higher than the Sun Moon tribe and the Elven tribe. 9 Silkworm Prince was a peerless genius of the Sky Silkworm tribe. Whether it was his background or his qualifications, they were top-notch. Among the Boundary Emperors, there weren't many who could match him. The reason why he was ranked 49th was that many of the people above him were from the top 10 tribes. After all, the top 10 tribes were too terrifying. Their bloodline talents were heaven-defying. Apart from the top 10 tribes, there weren't many Boundary Emperors from the other tribes who could match him. Chapter 38:12. 9 Silkworm Prince stood in the air, his gaze landing on Lu Ming and Yin Shangyi. Yin Shang Yangyi, you may leave. Muyun is mine now. 9 Silkworm Prince said lightly. His voice was calm, but there was an unquestionable tone. It was as if he was ordering Yin Shangyi around, as if Yin Shangyi was his subordinate. From this, one could conclude that 9 Silkworm Prince was an extremely conceited person. Yin Shang Yangye was a conceited person as well, so his face instantly darkened to a terrifying degree. Boom. He and Lu Ming exchanged a blow and the battle stage shook. Both of them took a few steps back. 9 Silkworm, I haven't decided a winner with Mu Yun. He's mine. Yin Shangyi shouted. Humph, after so many blows, you still can't take down a 7th level Divine Lord. How dare you continue? Get lost. 9 Silkworm Prince said coldly. 9 Silkworm, who do you think you are? What right do you have to order me around? Yin Shangyi was furious. Being reprimanded by 9 Silkworm Prince in public was an extremely embarrassing thing. His anger burned fiercely. Yin Shangyi was also a peerless monster, not much weaker than 9 Silkworm Prince. What? Just because you're my defeated opponent? 9 Silkworm Prince said coldly. Humph, it's been 10,000 years since our battle. It's not certain who's going to win now. Yin Shangye's eyes burned with fighting spirit. Lu Ming didn't continue. Since Yin Shangyi was going to fight 9 Silkworm Prince, he was naturally willing to be a spectator. So you want to challenge me? You overestimate yourself. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. 9 Silkworm Prince said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura exploded from his body. His cultivation was also at the Quasi-Emperor level, but it was many times more terrifying than an ordinary Quasi-Emperor. His body was shrouded in a layer of hazy jade color, making him look otherworldly. Whoosh! 9 Silkworm Prince moved. In a flash he charged toward Yin Shangyi. His leg swept down on Yin Shangyi. Sky Silkworm Leg, the ultimate technique of the Sky Silkworm race. Facing 9 Silkworm Prince's attack, Yin Shang and Yang Yi didn't dare to be careless. After all, he had been defeated by 9 Silkworm Prince 10,000 years ago. Yin Shang Yang Yi roared. Taiyin Qi revolved around him and a giant ice palm struck out. Layers of palm imprints and layers of leg shadows collided with each other, instantly erupting into dozens of explosions. Yin Shang and Yang Yi retreated, but 9 Silkworm Prince was also sent flying. 9 Silkworm, I haven't seen you in 10,000 years. You're just SOSO. Seeing that he had blocked 9 Silkworm Prince's attack, Yin Shang Yangye's confidence increased greatly. Yin Shang Yangyi, you're courting death. 9 Silkworm Prince's face was incomparably gloomy. His killing intent was as sharp as a blade as a terrifying qi emerged. Whoosh! 9 Silkworm Prince charged at Yin Shang and Yangye again. Great shatter. 9 Silkworm Prince's leg shadows continued to envelop Yin Shang and Yang Yi. Boom! Their attacks collided once again. However, this time Yin Shang and Yang Yi retreated rapidly after exchanging only a few moves. Everyone could see fine cracks appear on the surface of Yin Shang and Yang Ye's primordial divine body. Yin Shang and Yang Ye's primordial divine body was indestructible. After exchanging so many moves with Lu Ming hadn't been able to break through his defenses. However, 9 Silkworm Prince had broken through his defenses in just a few moves. 3,000 ancient secret arts, Great Shatter. 9 Silkworm, you've actually cultivated the Great Shatter. Yin Shang and Yang Ye roared in shock. It's the 3,000 ancient secret arts. The surrounding spectators also roared in shock. Their hearts were in turmoil and they could not calm down. Although the power of origin secret arts wasn't weaker than the 3,000 ancient secret arts, they were too difficult to cultivate. Severing the 9 shackles was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. However, the 3,000 ancient secret arts didn't have such shackles. As long as one's comprehension was high enough and had enough opportunities, they could quickly cultivate to an extremely high level and unleash terrifying power. In addition, there was a legend that the 3,000 ancient secret arts were related to a great secret. However, no one had been able to solve it after so many years. Of course, the 3,000 ancient secret arts weren't that easy to cultivate. Even if an ordinary person obtained them, they wouldn't be able to unleash their full power. However, 9 Silkworm Prince's talent was terrifying enough. The Great Shatter was already extremely powerful. It's actually the 3,000 ancient secret arts. Lu Ming's heart pounded fiercely. He hadn't thought that he'd come across another of the 3,000 ancient secret arts, the Great Divine Wind Art, just as he'd obtained one of the 3,000 ancient secret arts, the Great Shatter. He didn't know if it was a coincidence or an opportunity. A wisp of greed flashed through Lu Ming's eyes. He cultivated the forbidden physique and needed secret arts the most, not to mention the 3,000 ancient secret arts. He had already decided that he had to obtain the Great Shatter. If I hadn't spent all my energy on the 3,000 ancient secret arts, I would have broken through to the Divine Emperor realm long ago. You want to fight me? Dream on. 9 Silkworm Prince said coldly. Everyone finally understood why 9 Silkworm Prince was only evenly matched with Yinshang Yang Yi when he hadn't used the Great Shatter. It turned out that he'd spent all his energy on the Great Shatter. However, once he mastered the Great Shatter, 9 Silkworm Prince's battle power had indeed skyrocketed. It was enough to make up for all his losses over the years. Kill? 9 Silkworm Prince shouted coldly. Dazzling light shone from his body as he charged toward Yinshang Yang Yi. The 3,000 ancient secret arts are just an ordinary secret art. I don't believe it's that strong, Yinshang Yang Yi roared. Cold chi surged into the sky as he unleashed all his power toward 9 Silkworm Prince. Bam! Bam! The two clashed again, exchanging 8 moves. Crack! The sound of porcelain shattering rang out as cracks appeared on Yinshang Yang Yi's body. He retreated rapidly as ice fell from his body. Poof! Yinshang Yang Yi spat out blood, his face pale. He was no match for 9 Silkworm Prince. He was completely suppressed. So strong. 9 Silkworm Prince's battle power is so strong. Is this the power of the 3,000 ancient secret arts? Are the 3,000 ancient secret arts that much stronger than the origin secret arts? Many people were shocked. Many people had heard of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques, but very few had seen them. That was because many of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques had been lost. Now that they had seen them, their power was beyond imagination. It's not necessarily the 3,000 ancient secret arts. It depends on the cultivator. If one's talent and comprehension aren't good enough, they'll still be useless. 9 Silkworm Prince is strong because he's talented. 9 Silkworm Prince didn't defeat Yinshang Yang Yi purely with the Great Shatter. He combined the origin secret arts and the primordial divine body. Some knowledgeable people explained. Chapter 38:13. Everyone nodded. Indeed, how could the Grand Shatter art be so powerful that it could completely crush Yinshang and Yang Yi? 9 Silkworm Prince had used all his strength when he attacked, using his Constitution secret technique and origin secret technique to the extreme. Combined with the Grand Shatter art, he was able to defeat Yinshang and Yang Yi. 9 Silkworm Prince charged toward Yinshang and Yang Yi after gaining the upper hand. His legs lashed out like a storm at Yinshang and Yang Yi, and the space cracked like tofu under such terrifying power. Yinshang and Yang Yi roared and fought with all their might, but they couldn't change anything. Bang! 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 The two clashed continuously, and the terrifying energy of the Grand Shatter art landed on Yinshang and Yang Yi. Yinshang and Yang Yi vomited blood, and his body cracked inch by inch. In the end, he couldn't maintain his primordial divine body form anymore, and he collapsed and returned to his original form. Yinshang and Yang Yi's body was in tatters, and he was sent flying out of the arena, vomiting blood. He was severely injured. Yinshang and Yang Yi, this is the difference between us. I lost 10,000 years ago and I can still lose now. Let me tell you, you're not my match in this life. Also, Yue isn't someone you can pursue. If you know what's good for you, get the hell out of here. 9 Silkworm Prince stared coldly at Yinshang and Yang Yi. Yinshang and Yang Yi glared at 9 Silkworm Prince with an ugly expression. But he had lost and he couldn't refute. The loser had no reason to lose. 9 Silkworm Prince ignored Yin Shang and Yang Yi and turned to Lu Ming. Mu Yun, I'll give you a chance. With your status, you can't have any interaction with Yue Wei, so cripple your own cultivation and I'll spare your life. 9 Silkworm Young Master said coldly, commanding Lu Ming. In his view, sparing Lu Ming's life was already a great favor. Whether Lu Ming agreed to marry the elven princess or refused, he couldn't be spared. Crippling his own cultivation was already a way out for him. Hee hee. Lu Ming sneered. This guy was trying to act cool in front of him. How laughable. I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Lu Ming said indifferently. Really? You've seen what happened to Yin Shang Yangye. Don't think that you can challenge me just because you fought that piece of trash Yin Shang Yangye. Let me tell you, you're still far from enough. 9 Silkworm Prince's eyes were cold and filled with confidence. I really don't know where a quasi-emperor gets the confidence to speak to me, a 7th-level divine lord like this. With my cultivation, if I were a quasi-emperor, I would be able to suppress him with one finger. Lu Ming laughed mockingly. You're courting death. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted coldly. Lu Ming's words hurt 9 Silkworm Prince's pride. Originally, 9 Silkworm Prince was secretly jealous of Lu Ming. Lu Ming had such combat strength at the 7th-level divine lord realm. He was jealous to death. Now that Lu Ming had said this and the key point was that he was telling the truth, he was instantly enraged. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted coldly and charged at Lu Ming. Whoosh! His leg was like a steel whip, lashing toward Lu Ming. Wherever it passed, there would be a huge explosion in the space, bringing about destructive energy. Although he looked down on Lu Ming, his actions didn't. After all, Lu Ming had fought Yin Shang Yangye to a standstill. Therefore he used his full strength the moment he attacked. Physique Secret Technique, Origin Secret Technique, Great Shattering Technique. This kick raised his combat strength to the peak. Suppress. Lu Ming waved his hand and 3 gravity orbs flew out. 100% gravity erupted. The terrifying gravity pressed down on 9 Silkworm Prince. 9 Silkworm Prince's body trembled. He was greatly affected. After all, when Lu Ming fought Yin Shang Yangye, he didn't use the full power of the gravity orbs. At this moment, 100% gravity erupted. The power of the gravity was unprecedentedly strong. 9 Silkworm Prince felt that the divine power in his body seemed to be filled with mercury. It circulated more than 10 times slower, and he felt as if a dozen planets were pressing down on him. Break! 9 Silkworm Prince roared. His leg shook slightly, and the terrifying Great Shattering Technique erupted. The Great Shattering Technique was said to be able to shatter everything. Even the smallest particle could be shattered. Space instantly shattered into pieces, and even the powerful gravity began to distort. But at this moment, Lu Ming also launched an attack. His fist pierced through the void and blasted toward 9 Silkworm Prince. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. His leg shook and he changed direction to attack Lu Ming's fist. Boom! The attacks of the two collided, causing a violent explosion. The next moment, Lu Ming retreated rapidly. He retreated a few hundred meters before he could stabilize himself. At the same time, he felt a tearing pain coming from his fist. He lowered his head and saw that his fist had been torn apart, and there were cracks all over it. However, Lu Ming's powerful recovery ability quickly healed the injury. Is this the Great Shattering Technique? It's so powerful. Lu Ming was shocked. In the collision just now, Lu Ming felt that a terrifying power had erupted from 9 Silkworm Prince's side. This power directly shattered his various secret techniques, even the forbidden power, and was about to shatter his fist. Even the forbidden power couldn't block it. It was obvious how terrifying this power was. Of course, it wasn't that the forbidden power wasn't strong enough. It was just that Lu Ming's current cultivation was still weak. He was only a 7th-level divine lord. If Lu Ming was at the quasi-emperor realm, the same level as 9 Silkworm Prince, the forbidden power would definitely be able to crush 9 Silkworm Prince. While he was shocked, Lu Ming's heart was also burning with desire. He wanted to obtain the Great Shattering Technique even more. This way he could increase his combat strength. Humph! Everything will shatter under the Great Shattering Technique. What can mere gravity do to me? Break for me? 9 Silkworm Prince roared and used all his strength to activate the Great Shattering Technique. Together with his Constitution Secret Technique and Origin Secret Technique, the power was boundless. He broke through the gravity and charged at Lu Ming. You think there are only 3,000 ancient secret techniques? Lu Ming sneered. At this moment he no longer held back and used the Great Divine Wind Technique. In an instant, a whirlwind wrapped around Lu Ming's palm. This was the power of the Great Divine Wind technique. It was filled with terrifying cutting and destructive power. Boom. Lu Ming punched out with both fists and collided with Nine Silkworm Prince's leg technique once again. After a series of explosions, this time the two figures retreated at the same time. Lu Ming and Nine Silkworm Prince retreated more than a dozen steps before regaining their footing. 3,000 Ancient Secret Techniques. How can he know the 3,000 ancient secret techniques? Nine Silkworm Prince's shocked and sharp voice suddenly rang out. It was filled with shock, disbelief, and anger. How could a mere Lu Ming cultivate the 3,000 ancient secret techniques? The scene was also in an uproar. Everyone looked at Lu Ming tongue-tied. Chapter 38:14. Everyone was flabbergasted and dumbfounded. Lu Ming had also grasped one of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. All this while Lu Ming still had a trump card. How could a 7th-level Divine Lord be so strong? Kid, which one of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques is that? Nine Silkworm Prince stared at Lu Ming. Great Divine Wind Technique. Lu Ming said. Great Divine Wind Technique. Nine Silkworm Prince's eyes were burning as he stared at Lu Ming. Kid, give me the Great Divine Wind Technique. As long as you kneel down and admit defeat, I can waive the condition of crippling my own cultivation. Ah. Lu Ming sneered. He could only sneer. This Nine Silkworm Prince was probably used to being superior since young. Although his cultivation talent was high, his IQ wasn't high. Seeing that he had already used the Great Divine Wind technique, he was still so confident as if he could defeat Lu Ming. Where did his confidence come from? What are you laughing at? Nine Silkworm Prince felt Lu Ming's mockery and his eyes turned cold. What are you laughing at? You're laughing too self-righteously. Tell me in my eyes you're nothing. Do you understand? Lu Ming said. You're courting death. Nine Silkworm Prince shouted. This sentence again. Can't you change it? How about this? If you want the Great Divine Wind technique, I'll give you a chance. Let's make a bet. How about it? Lu Ming said. What bet? Nine Silkworm Prince said. Let's bet on who wins and who loses. The loser has to give the 3,000 ancient secret techniques to the winner. If I lose, I'll give you the Great Divine Wind technique. If I lose, you'll give me the Great Divine Wind technique. How about that? Lu Ming voiced out the purpose in his heart. I won't lose. Nine Silkworm Prince was still very confident. If you say that, then it's meaningless. Let's not fight this battle. Goodbye. Lu Ming turned and was about to leave. Wait. Nine Silkworm Prince shouted. How could he let Lu Ming leave? He was determined to get the Great Divine Wind technique. Do you want to bet? Lu Ming stopped and turned around. All right, I'll make a bet. Whoever loses will hand over the 3,000 ancient secret arts. Nine Silkworm said. The people around him immediately cheered up. Lu Ming and Nine Silkworm Prince actually wanted to bet the 3,000 ancient secret arts. In that case, the two of them would definitely go all out. This battle would be very interesting to watch. Moreover, there would be a clash of ancient secret arts, which was extremely rare. Boom. Lu Ming and Nine Silkworm Prince stood on the battle stage. Powerful chi exploded from their bodies and collided with each other. Boom. Lu Ming waved his hand and continued to control the gravity pearls. The gravity of the 3 gravity pearls erupted, and the terrifying gravity pressed down on Nine Silkworm Buddha Prince. The power of the 3 gravity pearls was extremely terrifying. Even if it was a monarch-grade divine artifact, it would be crushed instantly. Nine Silkworm Prince was also greatly affected. He went all out, using the great art of fragmentation as the edge to break through the gravity and clash with Lu Ming. Lu Ming also used the Great Divine Wind technique. With the Great Divine Wind technique as the core, he used various secret arts to attack Nine Silkworm Prince. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them fiercely exchanged dozens of blows. Lu Ming went all out and used the Great Divine Wind technique to finally block Nine Silkworm Prince's attack. For a moment, the two of them were evenly matched. Amazing. I didn't expect Mu Yun's Great Divine Wind technique to be cultivated to such a level. What terrifying power. This Mu Yun looks very young. According to his life origin, he doesn't seem to be more than 10,000 years old. It's a miracle that he's so terrifying at such a young age. This talent is amazing. Many people sighed. The 3,000 ancient secret arts were rare, but the primitive universe was so big that there would be people who would obtain them. However, obtaining them was one thing and cultivating them was another. In fact, many people who obtained the 3,000 ancient secret arts tried their best to cultivate them, but in the end they failed and went back to cultivate the origin secret arts. Techniques were good techniques, but it also depended on the person who used them. However, what they didn't know was that Lu Ming had only cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique for a little more than a year. If they knew, their eyeballs would probably pop out. Lu Ming had cultivated to such a level in a little more than a year. When he erupted, he wasn't any weaker than 9 Silkworm Prince's great art of fragmentation. Of course, this had to do with his talent and comprehension. Ever since he merged with the forbidden power and became a forbidden body, Lu Ming found that his comprehension was getting more and more terrifying. It seemed to be constantly improving. No wonder the forbidden body was called a taboo, and even the heavenly palace was afraid of it. It wasn't without reason. Now that Lu Ming was cultivating ordinary mystic skills, he would be able to succeed easily. In addition, the environment was full of strong winds. Cultivating the Great Divine Wind technique complemented each other and was faster. As a result, Lu Ming cultivated it for more than a year, but its power was comparable to 9 Silkworm Princes for 10,000 years. The two exchanged dozens of blows and they were evenly matched. 9 Silkworm Prince was a little impatient. One had to know that his purpose here was to suppress Lu Ming. Countless people were watching and even Ling Yue was watching. But now he couldn't take down Lu Ming. His anger soared. Die brat. 9 Silkworm Prince roared and his attacks became even more violent. Unfortunately, under the suppression of gravity, he couldn't use his full strength and couldn't defeat Lu Ming. 9 Silkworm Prince, I heard that the great art of fragmentation that you've cultivated for 10,000 years is only this powerful? How laughable. You call yourself a genius. Let me tell you, I've only cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique for a year. 3,000 ancient secret arts, such an easy secret art to cultivate, actually took 10,000 years to cultivate. How embarrassing. Lu Ming laughed. More than a year? Everyone who heard this was stunned at first, but then they shook their heads. They didn't believe it at all. How could he cultivate the Great Divine Wind technique to this level in a year? How was that possible? Nonsense. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. He didn't believe it at all. If Lu Ming cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique to this level in a year, then what was he? Trash? No, he was even worse than trash. He couldn't accept it. You're trash, so you don't want to accept the excellence of others. How sad. Lu Ming said proudly. Impossible. Don't think of using such a method to disturb my state of mind. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. The others nodded, thinking that Lu Ming said that on purpose to disturb 9 Silkworm Prince's state of mind and make him reveal a flaw. They guessed right. Lu Ming did want to make 9 Silkworm Prince reveal a flaw, but what he said was the truth. Of course no one would believe it. 9 Silkworm, is this your strength? What are you using to suppress me? If this continues, I'm going to lose. Lu Ming continued. Die. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. His state of mind was indeed a little chaotic. Chapter 38:15. First of all, 9 Silkworm Prince had been full of confidence, as if he could suppress Lu Ming with a flip of his hand. But now he couldn't even gain the upper hand. He was anxious. Also, Lu Ming said that he had cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique to such a level in a year. Although he didn't believe it, there was no doubt that Lu Ming had cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique in a shorter time than him. To him, it had more or less affected him. Therefore, his mental state was a little chaotic, and he wanted to suppress Lu Ming as soon as possible. Once his mental state was in a mess, he would naturally have an opening. 9 Silkworm Prince's body glowed, and a jade sword flew out from between his eyebrows and slashed at the gravity orb. The gravity of the gravity orb was very uncomfortable for him, and he wanted to break through the pressure. Clang. The jade sword slashed at the gravity orb and there was a loud boom. Unfortunately, the gravity orb was indestructible and couldn't be broken. It only retreated a little and the gravity was still strong. Now. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he caught 9 Silkworm Prince's opening. Lu Ming's figure suddenly changed and like a phantom, he charged at 9 Silkworm Prince, his speed suddenly increasing. Since the Great Divine Wind technique was related to wind, it could not only increase Lu Ming's attack power, but also increase Lu Ming's speed. Whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming appeared on 9 Silkworm Prince's left side, and his palm was like a sword, stabbing 36 times in an instant, all aimed at 9 Silkworm Prince's 3 openings. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. It was too fast, so fast that many people couldn't react in time. 9 Silkworm Prince was worthy of being a peerless genius. He instantly changed his figure and his leg kicked out like a gust of wind. At the same time, his palm was like a saber, slashing at Lu Ming's neck. This way 2 of the 3 openings disappeared and he made up for them. But there was still one more. Lu Ming's palm pierced 9 Silkworm Prince's chest. The terrifying power instantly tore apart 9 Silkworm Prince's defenses, and his muscles and bones were torn apart by the terrifying power. A bloody hole appeared in his chest and it was penetrating from front to back. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed, and his body frantically retreated. At the same time he circulated his divine power to seal the wound, and wanted to counterattack. But how would Lu Ming give him such a chance? After injuring 9 Silkworm Prince in one move and gaining the upper hand, 9 Silkworm Prince's fate was already sealed. Whoosh! Lu Ming's attacks were endless. His attacks filled the entire sky. Bang! Bang! 9 Silkworm Prince was hit continuously. Although he was powerful, he could not withstand Lu Ming's attacks. A few more wounds appeared on his body. In particular, one of Lu Ming's moves had hit his head, almost causing his head to explode. His 9 Silkworm Prince's secret was of his body, his soul. 9 his soul his. His soul was greatly shaken, causing him to be dazed for a moment, and stars appeared before his eyes. 9 Silkworm Prince knew he was in trouble. He roared and launched an all-encompassing attack, using both his hands and legs to force Lu Ming back. But Lu Ming easily dodged his attacks and appeared above 9 Silkworm Prince's head. He ruthlessly kicked 9 Silkworm Prince's face, sending him flying. 9 Silkworm Prince's body flew out of the stage like a broken sack. He lay on the ground, groaning for a long time before crawling up and looking at Lu Ming with murderous intent. 9 Silkworm Prince, you've lost. Hand over the Grand Shatter Art. Lu Ming said. Hand over the Grand Shatter Art? Don't even think about it. Kid, a mere disciple of the Fengdu Sword Sect dares to steal my Grand Shatter Art. I'll die. Not only that, but I'll also destroy the Fengdu Sword Sect. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed hysterically. His face was distorted, and his eyes were filled with crazed murderous intent. He was really going crazy. His anger soared to the sky. He had lost to Lu Ming. He couldn't accept it. One had to know that there were countless people watching through the illusory heavenly jade, especially Fairy Princess Ling Yue. It was very likely that she was also watching. He had lost all face. When he thought of this, he couldn't wait to cut Lu Ming into 8 pieces and execute Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming. Why did he resist? Why did he not allow him to suppress him obediently and allow him to boast? Haha, this is the genius ranked 49th on the quasi-emperor ranking list, the peerless monster of the heavenly silkworm race? Such a trash, going back on his words and going back on his words after losing. Lu Ming sneered. Shut up, you despicable thing. Shut up. 9 Silkworm Prince roared. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't shut up. He continued, just now you said you wanted to send people to destroy my sect? You want to destroy the Feng City Sword Sect? Everyone, brothers and sisters in the universe, you've all seen it. This is what 9 Silkworm said. He wants to rely on the heavenly silkworm race to destroy the Feng City Sword Sect. If something happens to the Feng City Sword Sect, it must be done by the heavenly silkworm race. You must uphold justice and the heavenly palace must uphold justice. Lu Ming shouted. Everyone looked at each other. Bastard. Some experts of the heavenly silkworm race also watched through the illusory heavenly jade. They couldn't help but curse. They scolded 9 Silkworm and Lu Ming. 9 Silkworm had lost, but he actually talked nonsense and went back on his words in public. He even wanted to take revenge. It was really embarrassing. And Lu Ming said that nothing could happen to the Feng City Sword Sect in the future. Once something happened, it would be blamed on the heavenly silkworm race. Although the heavenly silkworm race didn't take the Feng City Sword Sect seriously, if they really destroyed the Feng City Sword Sect, their reputation would be ruined. Who would cooperate with them in the future? Not only that, their enemies would also use this as an excuse to attack them. After Lu Ming said that the heavenly silkworm race not only couldn't touch the Feng City Sword Sect, but also had to prevent others from touching the Feng City Sword Sect. Otherwise, they would also have to send people to protect the Feng City Sword Sect secretly. No wonder some experts of the heavenly silkworm race were cursing. 9 Silkworm Prince also slowly calmed down. He knew that it was impossible to destroy the Feng City Sword Sect, but killing Lu Ming was possible. He just had to do it secretly. The murderous intent in his heart was incomparably cold. He stared at Lu Ming fiercely, like a wild beast choosing a human to devour. He must kill Lu Ming. Today he had embarrassed him so much. It was unforgivable. 9 Silkworm, why aren't you handing over the great art of fragmentation? The heavenly silkworm race is also considered a big race. Is this the kind of person who goes back on his words? Lu Ming stared at 9 Silkworm Prince. I won't hand it over. What can you do to me? What can you do to me? Nine Silkworm Prince sneered. He might as well go all out. After all, he had already embarrassed himself. If he didn't embarrass himself a little more, he wouldn't hand it over. The great art of fragmentation was something he had painstakingly obtained. Hand it over to Lu Ming? He would probably vomit blood. Chapter 38:16. Nine Silkworm Prince looked at Lu Ming arrogantly. He was a peerless monster of the heavenly silkworm race. Now that everyone was watching, he didn't believe that Lu Ming would dare to do anything to him. Bastard. Many former experts of the heavenly silkworm race cursed. Nine Silkworm had truly disgraced the heavenly silkworm race. On a distant and remote planet, the elf princess Ling Yue, wandering spirit, and the others also saw all of this. This Jokin is really shameless, really shameless. Someone like him actually wants to pursue the young lady. He's really out of his league. Compared to Jokin, that Mu Yun is much more pleasing to the eye. Yu Ling pouted angrily. Some people come from good backgrounds, but their character is not necessarily good. Ling Yue said. Yu Ling nodded repeatedly. Some people came from good families and were pampered since young. They could get whatever they wanted. No one would go against their wishes. Then when they grew up, it would be the same. Even if his talent was astonishing, once he encountered a setback or encountered someone who went against his will, he would not be able to take it. His retarded face would be revealed without a doubt. Nine Silkworm Prince was clearly such a person. He had outstanding talent since he was young and had been nurtured by the heavenly silkworm clan. It could be said that he could get whatever he wanted. It had also nurtured his self-confidence and character to do as he pleased. In the face of a stronger race, perhaps he would restrain himself a little, but in the face of a weaker race, his personality would undoubtedly reveal itself. What's more, facing Lu Ming, who was an incomparably despicable piece of trash in his heart, he was filled with a sense of superiority. But in the end he was defeated by Lu Ming. He found it hard to accept, and his ugly side was revealed without a doubt. Lu Ming was so angry that he wanted to laugh. So, you don't intend to hand it over? Very well, if you don't hand it over, then I'll take it myself. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he stepped into the air and charged towards Nine Silkworm Prince. Mu Yun, how dare you? I'm a peerless genius of the heavenly silkworm race. How dare you touch me? Nine Silkworm roared. There's nothing I don't dare to do. Lu Ming sneered. He sped up, turning into a phantom as he charged at Nine Silkworm Prince. In the blink of an eye, he was above Nine Silkworm Prince's head. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch. The violent fist force was like a storm, shrouding Nine Silkworm Prince. Nine Silkworm Prince was shocked. He didn't think that Lu Ming would really dare to attack him. At the critical moment, he resisted with all his might. However, he had just been seriously injured by Lu Ming and simply wasn't a match for Lu Ming. His attack had been defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fist smashed into the Nine Silkworm Prince's face. Nine Silkworm Prince let out a miserable shriek. His handsome face was completely smashed and his body flew out. The people in front hurriedly left. Before Nine Silkworm Prince could stop, Lu Ming had already caught up to him and stepped on him. Hand over Grand Shatter. Lu Ming said coldly. Don't even think about it, you bastard. How dare you treat me like this? I want you to die. I want you to die a horrible death. Princess Nine Silkworm roared madly. He was completely crazy, his eyes blood red. He was sure that Lu Ming would at most injure him and wouldn't dare to touch him. As long as he escaped, he would madly seek revenge. As for handing over Grand Shatter, it was impossible. You're courting death. Lu Ming's eyes turned completely cold. Did Nine Silkworm Prince really think that he wouldn't dare to touch him? At most, after killing him, he would leave the Fengdu sword sect and find another place to find a new identity. At most, it would take some effort and time. Lu Ming's body emitted a strong murderous intent. A long spear condensed in his hand. Buff, buff. Blood splattered everywhere. Lu Ming's long spear directly pierced through Nine Silkworm Prince's legs, nailing them to the ground. Nine Silkworm Prince screamed, his body twitching non-stop. Although he would be able to recover even if his body was torn apart at his level, the pain wouldn't diminish. The surrounding people gasped in shock. Mu Yun was really daring to treat Nine Silkworm Prince like this. Although Nine Silkworm Prince was a little shameless and didn't keep his word, Lu Ming dealing with Nine Silkworm Prince was reasonable. No one could say anything. But Nine Silkworm Prince was a top monster of the Sky Silkworm race. Wasn't he afraid of the Sky Silkworm race's revenge? Although the Sky Silkworm race wouldn't openly attack the Fengdu sword sect, nor would they send people to deal with Lu Ming, secretly sending an expert to kill Lu Ming, or disguise as Lu Ming dying from qi deviation. It wouldn't be difficult. Could only be said that Lu Ming was very daring. Bastard, I want you dead. I'm going to kill you. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed crazily. Bam. Lu Ming grabbed 9 Silkworm Prince's head and slammed it into the ground. The ground here was set up with a powerful formation, so it was very hard. But 9 Silkworm Prince's head still smashed a big hole in the ground. Bam. 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 Lu Ming didn't stop. He grabbed 9 Silkworm Prince and slammed him into the ground repeatedly. Many people felt their teeth hurt and a chill ran down their spines. As for 9 Silkworm Prince, it was too horrible to look at. He was soon unrecognizable. But 9 Silkworm Prince still gritted his teeth, his eyes full of resentment. Stubborn. Do you really think I won't kill you? Since you won't hand it over, I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming's body was filled with cold killing intent. He condensed a long spear in his hand again. This time, Lu Ming stabbed at 9 Silkworm Prince's dantian. Poof. The long spear pierced into 9 Silkworm Prince's dantian and pierced his stellar core. At the Quasi-Emperor level, the stellar core would have 9 stellar rings revolving around it. It had already begun to merge and was showing signs of transforming into a star. After being hit by the long spear, 9 Silkworm Prince's stellar rings trembled and dimmed a lot. Even his stellar core shook violently. With a few cracking sounds, a few cracks appeared on his stellar core. With his stellar core severely damaged, 9 Silkworm Prince spat out mouthfuls of blood. He stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. The resentment in his eyes receded and was finally replaced by fear. Lu Ming actually wanted to destroy his stellar core. Destroying his stellar core was no different from killing him. He had never imagined that Lu Ming would actually have the guts to do so. He was a peerless genius of the heavenly silkworm race. He was high and mighty with countless heavenly silkworm race experts behind him. Lu Ming, a mere disciple of the Fengdu sword sect, dared to touch him? He didn't believe it before, but now he had to, because Lu Ming really did make a move. The murderous intent emitted from his body made him shiver all over. At this moment, the scene was also silent. Obviously, no one had expected Lu Ming to be so audacious. Sect leader Wang and the others from the Fengdu sword sect were pale. If Lu Ming really destroyed or killed 9 Silkworm Prince, the Fengdu sword sect would be under a lot of pressure. Next move, I will completely destroy your stellar core. Lu Ming said coldly. The cold, murderous intent made 9 Silkworm Prince feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He didn't doubt that Lu Ming's next move would really destroy him. I'll hand it over. I'll hand over the great shattering art to you. 9 Silkworm Prince shouted in horror. Chapter 38:17. 9 Silkworm Prince screamed in horror. Hand it over. Lu Ming stopped. 9 Silkworm Prince gritted his teeth. He had no choice but to hand over the great fragmentation art. A jade talisman flew out from between his eyebrows and was caught by Lu Ming. Lu Ming scanned it with his spiritual consciousness and found that the jade talisman recorded the great fragmentation art. Lu Ming was overjoyed and put it in his storage ring. Many people were envious. Get lost. Lu Ming kicked 9 Silkworm Prince away but didn't kill him. After all, there were so many people watching and it was being broadcasted through the dreamy heavenly jade. If he killed 9 Silkworm Prince in front of everyone, he might provoke the old monsters of the heavenly silkworm race to deal with him. If he didn't kill 9 Silkworm Prince, those old monsters of the heavenly silkworm race would be too embarrassed to do anything. Lu Ming wasn't strong enough, so he had to be careful. If he was strong enough, he could kill 9 Silkworm Prince. What could the heavenly silkworm race do to him? Damn it! Damn it! 9 Silkworm Prince screamed in his heart. His body seemed to be burning with anger, but he didn't dare to stay. He used his remaining strength and ran away. No one else wants to fight? Lu Ming scanned the surroundings and continued asking. No one dared to answer. Even 9 Silkworm Prince, who was ranked 49th on the Quasi-Emperor's top 100 list, had been defeated. Who else would dare to fight? This time, 9 Silkworm Prince was the strongest among those who had come to the Iron Sea Star Zone. The other Quasi-Emperor geniuses who were even stronger were either geniuses from the top 10 races, cultivating or traveling. No one had come. After a while, no one came out to fight. Since no one dares to fight, all of you can get lost. Lu Ming scolded coldly and turned to leave. The geniuses present all looked terrible, but no one dared to fight. In the end, they all left. Not long after, Lu Ming returned to his residence. Once he was back, Lu Ming took out the jade talisman that recorded the great fragmentation art and read it. A day later, Lu Ming completely memorized the great fragmentation technique in his heart. This was the true great fragmentation technique. There was absolutely no mistake. Lu Ming had cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique, so it was easy for him to determine. However, it wasn't that easy to cultivate it. Even with 9 Silkworm Prince's talent, it took him 10,000 years to make some progress. No matter how heaven-defying his talent was, it was not something that could be successfully cultivated in a short period of time. Of course, if there was an environment suitable for cultivating the Great Fragmentation technique, it could greatly shorten the time. It was just like cultivating the Great Divine Wind technique. In just over a year's time, he had made some small achievements. Lu Ming wanted to start cultivating immediately, but this place was no longer suitable. That 9 Silkworm Prince was beaten so badly by me, and I even stole the art of fragmentation. I'm afraid he'll take revenge. Lu Ming began to ponder. He wasn't afraid of 9 Silkworm Prince, but he was afraid that 9 Silkworm Prince would bring experts from the heavenly Silkworm race to deal with him in secret. Therefore, he planned to leave the Fengdu Sword sect first, and wait for the Heavenly Palace to recruit heavenly soldiers before returning to the Fengdu Sword sect to participate in the recruitment as a disciple of the Fengdu Sword sect. Thinking of this, Lu Ming wanted to move immediately. But at this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he looked in a direction. The space in that direction began to ripple like water. Then a figure appeared. Even with Lu Ming's mind, there was a brief moment of absent-mindedness. Because this was a woman, and an astonishingly beautiful woman at that. The woman had a long figure and wore an emerald green dress, like a spirit of all things. This woman was really from the elf tribe. From her pointed ears, it could be seen that she was very similar to the Yuling that he had seen some time ago. The Yuling was already very beautiful, but compared to this woman, she was overshadowed. If the Yuling and this woman stood together, other people's eyes would definitely fall on this woman and ignore the Yuling. The woman stepped on the air and walked toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, staring at the woman, and did not speak. You are Mu Yun? The beautiful woman of the elf tribe stood 100 meters in front of Lu Ming and asked. Her voice was extremely pleasant to hear, making people feel as if they were bathed in a spring breeze. Even a person who was in a bad mood would calm down when they heard this voice. Elf Princess. Lu Ming nodded silently and then asked. With such a temperament, Lu Ming speculated that the other party was the elf princess Ling Yue. That's right. Ling Yue nodded and carefully sized up Lu Ming, as if she wanted to see through Lu Ming. But unfortunately she couldn't get what she wanted. In her eyes, Lu Ming seemed to be wrapped in a layer of fog unfathomable. Do you really want me to marry you? Lu Ming asked. To be honest, when he first heard that the elf princess wanted to marry him, his first reaction was that the elf princess was very ugly. Otherwise, why would she take the initiative to find someone to marry? It wasn't until the geniuses of various races were envious and wanted to challenge him that he realized that he was wrong. When he saw the other party's true appearance, he knew that he was ridiculously wrong. For someone like the elf princess, her talent, appearance and background were all top-notch. It was likely that the number of people pursuing her could line up around Fengdu planet. Therefore he was even more curious. Why did the elf princess want to marry him? Did she take a fancy to his talent? Or to fulfill the engagement? In any case, Lu Ming didn't believe it. I've already asked Wandering Spirit to explain it to you very clearly, the elf princess Ling Yue said. Wandering Spirit said that you want to fulfill the engagement with me? Do you think I would believe such a reason? If you want to fulfill the engagement, why did you do it earlier? You're only here now? Lu Ming said, his tone full of suspicion. I've never seen you before, but I've seen you make a move on the Resource Alliance. Your talent is very high and you're worthy of me. Is this reason enough? Ling Yue said. A pair of eyes that were as bright as autumn water blinked as if they could speak. If other men heard Ling Yue's words, their vanity would explode. They would be so excited that they wouldn't be able to control themselves. They would probably agree without thinking. If he didn't agree, he would be a fool. Lu Ming was obviously not an idiot, but he still didn't agree. In the great desolate universe, there are countless geniuses, monsters, and innumerable talents. I'm afraid there are many who are pursuing you. What you're saying is more like lying to a child. Lu Ming said indifferently. There was no such thing as a pie falling from the sky. Moreover, this was no longer a pie falling from the sky, but a drop of gold and silver. It was obvious that something was wrong. If it was because of his charm, he could still believe it. You're really smart. Ling Yue sighed and said, to tell you the truth, my father wants me to marry a genius of the angel race and form a marriage alliance with the angel race to increase the influence of the elf race in the universe. However, that genius of the angel race has a bad character, so I don't want to. But the angel race is no small matter, and it's very difficult to refuse. However, as long as I get married before that, and marry someone who has been arranged to marry me, the angel race will have nothing to say. Chapter 38:18. Oh. Lu Ming responded with an, oh. The reason given by Ling Yue was somewhat credible and could be justified. Of course, my marriage to you is not a real marriage but a fake one. After all, there are no feelings between us. What do you think? Ling Yue said. What do you think? Of course it was to refuse. Lu Ming didn't even agree to a real marriage and he still wanted to fake it? How could he agree? Moreover, if he agreed to Ling Yue's request, he would have to offend that genius from the angel clan. You can think about it. Although we are fake married, it is because we do not know each other and do not understand each other. As we get to know each other better in the future, it is not impossible for it to become real. Ling Yue's gaze was like water, like a deep pool, causing people to sink into it. If it was an ordinary man, it would definitely be difficult for him to refuse such a condition. Even Lu Ming's heart thumped a few times. Ling Yue's charm was not just for show. Sorry, I already have a sweetheart. Please go back. Lu Ming said. You have a sweetheart? Really? Ling Yue's eyes, which were like autumn water, were slightly stunned. With a fiancée like her, how could Lu Ming like anyone else? And he would reject her because of others? The more she looked at Lu Ming, the more she felt that it was difficult to see through Lu Ming. It was a miracle that such a person could appear in a small Fengdu sword sect. At the same time, Ling Yue felt that her confidence had been dealt a blow for the first time. She had taken the initiative to marry a man, and the two of them were even engaged. She had never thought that the other party would reject her. She was very confident in herself. That was why she had only sent a wandering spirit to pass on the message last time. She didn't expect that Lu Ming would directly reject her. Later on, he even defeated the geniuses of various races who came to challenge him, displaying his terrifying strength and talent. In her opinion, even if it was a fake marriage, no one should be able to reject her if she gave them hope. However, she was still rejected. She was getting anxious. You really don't agree? Ling Yue couldn't help but ask again. Of course, I'll say it again. I already have someone in my heart. Moreover, if I agree to your request, I'll have to offend a prodigy of the angel race. It's not worth it. Lu Ming refused again. He did not say that he had a wife because he was now Mu Yun of Fengdu sword sect. Mu Yun did not have a wife. If he said that, he would be exposed. As for his sweetheart, that was easy to say. Who didn't have a few sweethearts? You. Ling Yue was a little angry. She used all her strength to scrape Lu Ming's eyes a few times, then said, All right, I'll tell you the truth. I want to marry you. Avoiding the geniuses of the angel clan is one reason, and the other reason is because of the life spirit origin stone fragments. What? Lu Ming's pupils constricted when he heard about the fragments of the natal spirit stone. His body emitted a powerful aura and killing intent. Being provoked by Lu Ming's killing intent, Ling Yue was shocked and instinctively retreated a distance. You have life spirit vitality stone fragments? Lu Ming stared at Ling Yue and asked. At the same time, his muscles trembled slightly as he prepared for a great battle. That's right, I have life spirit origin stone fragments. Unexpectedly, Ling Yue directly nodded and admitted it. No wonder you want to marry me. Your real goal is the life spirit origin stone fragments, right? You want to kill me while I'm unprepared and take away the life spirit origin stone fragments on me, right? Lu Ming said coldly as killing intent emerged from his body. You're wrong. Ling Yue said. I'm wrong? Lu Ming asked. Yes, you're wrong. Do you think that the owners of the life spirit origin stone fragments will fight to the death the moment they meet? You want to snatch the other party's life spirit origin stone fragments? Ling Yue said. Isn't that so? Lu Ming asked again. This was what the stone spirit of the life spirit origin stone fragments had told him. The owners of the life spirit origin stone fragments were destined to be enemies. The moment they met, they would have to fight to the death and snatch the other party's life spirit origin stone fragments. When all the life spirit origin stone fragments were gathered, one would be able to obtain a great opportunity and become the overlord of the universe. This point could be learned from Murong Qiushui in the past. When Murong Qiushui saw him, he wanted to kill him and take away his life spirit origin stone fragments. Of course not. Actually, the owners of the life spirit origin stone fragments don't have to fight to the death. They can cooperate. Ling Yue said. Cooperation? That's right. Did you hear the news from Shiling? Ling Yue said. That's right. Could it be that what the stone spirit said was false? Lu Ming said. Some of it is true but some of it is false. The stone spirits have their own selfish motives. As long as they activate all the fragments and swallow all the stone spirits, they will become very powerful and become a complete life spirit stone. Naturally, they will instigate the owners of all the life spirit origin stone fragments to kill each other. If you don't believe me, you can ask the life spirit origin stone spirit. Ling Yue said. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. From the very beginning, he had felt that the old fellow was very cunning. In the beginning, he pretended to be an array spirit to deceive them. Lu Ming had never fully believed him. Old fellow, get out here. Lu Ming secretly shouted at the life spirit origin stone spirit. The life spirit origin stone fragments were also carried by his current body. His past self had cultivated all kinds of divine powers, and it was best for him to cultivate peacefully on the Dragon Clan's mother planet. His present self had to travel the universe, and only by bringing these treasures with him would he have a chance to uncover the secrets. With a flash of light, the life spirit origin stone spirit appeared. Lu Muyun, don't listen to this girl's nonsense. She's lying to you. What I said is true. You have to believe me. The life spirit origin stone spirit cried out as if it had suffered a great grievance. After I obtained the life spirit origin stone fragments, I was fooled by the stone spirit at first. In the end, I checked a lot of information and found some information. If you don't believe me, I can show you a portion of the information. Once you see it, you'll know whether it's true or not. Ling Yue said with a very confident expression. Old fellow, tell the truth. Lu Ming stared coldly at the life spirit origin stone spirit. What I said is true. The stone spirit shouted again. It's not too late for you to tell me the truth now. If I find out that you're lying later, I'll destroy you. You should know that I can do it now. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with cold killing intent. Chapter 38:19. After Shi Ling finished speaking, he looked nervously at Lu Ming, afraid that Lu Ming would attack him. He had always been by Lu Ming's side, so he knew how terrifying Lu Ming was. The taboo power could definitely obliterate him. This old fellow, Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. This old fellow was indeed lying to him. There's one thing he's right about. The more fragments you gather, the more benefits you can obtain, but it's not certain. Ling Yue said. Look, I'm not wrong. Shi Ling seized the opportunity to shout. Get back. Lu Ming hollered. The stone spirit hurriedly flashed and returned to the life soul essence stone fragments. It seems that you know very little about the life spirit origin stone. Ling Yue said. Indeed, very little. You know a lot? Then tell me, what is the origin of the life spirit origin stone? Is it really as shocking as Shi Ling said? Lu Ming said. Shi Ling didn't lie to you about this. The origin of the life spirit origin stone is indeed shocking, and even more shocking than what he said. Do you know about the life spirit heavenly court? Ling Yue asked in return. Life spirit heavenly court? What does it have to do with the heavenly palace? Lu Ming asked doubtfully. The heavenly palace knew that the life spirit heavenly court was not listening at all. You should know that the primitive universe is divided into two eras. The first era is the era of the incipient god. A group of primitive gods were born at the beginning of the world. They were incomparably powerful and ruled the primitive universe. The second era is the era of the heavenly palace. At the end of the era of the incipient god, the heavenly palace killed the primitive gods, thus ending the era of the incipient god and opening the era of the heavenly palace. These two eras should not be ruled by the primitive gods and the heavenly palace. In these two eras, the primitive gods and the heavenly palace were supreme. But in fact, during this process, there were some terrifying forces that could even challenge the authority of these two. The life spirit heavenly court was a terrifying force that appeared at the beginning of the era of the heavenly palace. This force was hostile to the heavenly palace and was called the heavenly court. It was extremely powerful. Ling Yue said a lot in one breath. Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. This was really unexpected. He had always thought that the heavenly palace was supreme and that no force could rival it. Even the top 10 races had to behave themselves in front of the heavenly palace. As powerful as the Dragon Clan was, they were still easily exterminated. In history, there was actually a power that could challenge the authority of the heavenly palace, and they were called the heavenly court. From this name alone, one could see how imposing they were. Such a powerful force actually appeared in history? Lu Ming muttered to himself, still in shock. It's very normal. In all the powerful races, there are such records. In history, there were more than one power that challenged the authority of the heavenly palace. One must know that in the beginning there were 9 great heavenly palaces, but now there are only 5 great heavenly palaces left. From this, one can tell how terrifying those powers are. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming's heart trembled violently once again. He didn't expect that there would only be 5 of the 9 heavenly palace left. Where did those 4 go? Had they been destroyed? Only a powerful race like the elf clan would know these secrets. Lu Ming had never heard of them before. It seemed that there were more secrets hidden in the great desolate universe than he had imagined. It was just that he had never been able to come into contact with them before. What about the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Was it destroyed by the Heavenly Palace? Lu Ming asked. It's hard to say. Ling Yuwei frowned slightly and said, the information I found is also very limited. I didn't specify whether the Life Spirit Heavenly Court was destroyed by the Heavenly Palace. However, the Life Spirit Heavenly Court has indeed disappeared. Even one of the 4 great treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, the Life Spirit Origin Stone, has been shattered. Therefore, many people speculate that the Life Spirit Heavenly Court should have been destroyed by the Heavenly Palace. One of the 4 great treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Lu Ming grasped the main point. That's right. Legend has it that the Life Spirit Heavenly Court has 4 great treasures. Each of them has the power to shock the heavens and make ghosts and gods weep. As long as you obtain one of them, you can become a universe overlord. Ling Yuwei said. Look, I'm not wrong. As long as you gather all the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone, you can become a universe overlord. The Life Spirit Origin Stone seized the opportunity to shout. Shut up. Lu Ming shouted coldly with his spiritual sense, and the stone spirit obediently shut up. There are also legends that the remaining 3 treasures are all in the Lost Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Moreover, other than the 3 great treasures, there are countless other precious treasures in the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. For countless years, countless experts have tried to find the whereabouts of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Unfortunately, none of them succeeded. But I found out that the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone might contain clues to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Ling Yuwei said. The fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone have clues to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Then why don't you just ask the Stone Spirit? Lu Ming said. No, the Stone Spirit doesn't know either. Ling Yuwei shook her head. This girl is right. I really don't know. Moreover, the Life Spirit Origin Stone has been shattered and I have lost my memories, so I don't know either. The Stone Spirit shouted. I've said everything that needs to be said. How about it? Shall we cooperate? Ling Yuwei said. Cooperation? Oh. Lu Ming asked. You and I have a fake marriage. We don't need to get married. We just need to let the outside world know that we're dating. Then we'll work together to hunt down the other owners of the Life Spirit Origin Stone, seize their Life Spirit Origin Stone, and search for the treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Ling Yuwei said. Isn't it fine to cooperate? Why do you have to seize other people's Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments? Lu Ming said. That's right, cooperation is fine, but others won't cooperate with you properly. In addition, the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments can be said to be a proof of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The more you collect, the greater the benefits you will receive. In fact, with the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, you can obtain a powerful force. As for what it is exactly, I don't know. I need to explore it myself. If we cooperate, I've already told you all the information I know about the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Ling Yuwei said. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. To be honest, he was very tempted. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court was a power that could challenge the Heavenly Palace. If they could find the treasures left behind by the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, how shocking would that be? Especially the 3 great treasures, they were treasures that countless people would covet. As for the condition, it was only to pretend to be in a relationship with Ling Yuwei. This condition was not unacceptable. After all, his current identity was Mu Yun. In the future, it would not spread to Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. Moreover, pretending to be in a relationship with such a beauty was also a pleasure. In addition, he had originally planned to leave this place first. It just so happened that he could leave with Ling Yuwei to investigate the matter of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It was decided so happily. Lu Ming made his decision. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38:20. Alright, I can promise you that, but I'm very curious about something. If you really have a fragment of the Life Spirit Origin Stone, why can't I sense it? Lu Ming asked curiously. Those who possessed fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone could sense each other when they were close to each other. When he first met Murong Chiu Shui, he had easily sensed it. However, even after talking so much with Ling Yuwei, he still couldn't sense any fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone on her body. My physique is special. I can completely seal and isolate the aura of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. Those who also possess fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone will not be able to sense it for a short period of time. Ling Yue explained. Lu Ming's pupils constricted slightly. Ling Yue was actually able to seal the aura of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, preventing others from sensing them. This shocked Lu Ming because according to the Life Spirit Origin Stone spirit, there was no way to do this. Any sealing method could block the prying eyes of others, but as the owner of the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, it was very easy to sense them. As for Ling Yue, she was able to seal it so that he couldn't sense it. If this Lu Ming really agreed to marry Ling Yue, he was afraid that Ling Yue would unknowingly take away the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone. Lu Ming even guessed that Ling Yue wanted to fake a marriage with him from the beginning. Avoiding the angel race's geniuses was one of her goals, so she might not have planned to fake a marriage and secretly seize the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone. It was probably because she saw Lu Ming's astonishing talent and battle prowess, and that Lu Ming had never agreed to her request that she revealed the truth. Moreover, there was another benefit. Ling Yue could sense others and others could not sense her. She could swagger close to the owners of the other Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, and others would not be on guard against her. Then she would suddenly attack and seize the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. It was simply impossible to guard against. Then what should we do as the first step in our cooperation? Lu Ming continued to ask. The first step is, of course, to work together to seize more Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments. Only by gathering more Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments can we obtain more clues. Ling Yue said. Then do you know, other than you and me, who else has the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments? Lu Ming asked. I know one. Ling Yue's gaze turned as she said, this person is a peerless monster from the Blood Demon race, Shui Ming. Blood Demon race. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The Blood Demon race was also an extremely powerful race. It was ranked 55th on the Great Desolate 10,000 Races ranking. It was said that the Blood Demon race had a close relationship with the Blood race, one of the top 10 races. What about you? Do you have any news about the other owners of the Life Spirit Vitality Stone? Ling Yue asked Lu Ming. I have one too, Lu Ming said. He was naturally talking about Murong Qiushui. You really know? Ling Yue was very surprised. Just now, she had only casually asked and did not have any hope. This was because under normal circumstances, when the owners of the Natal Spirit Stone fragments met, they would definitely fight fiercely until one side died. There were very few who wanted to live in peace. This person is called Murong Qiushui. Do you know him? Lu Ming said. Murong Qiushui? I've never heard of him. Which race is he from? Ling Yue said with a frown. This person has used the primordial divine body and has many arms. Immediately, Lu Ming described Murong Qiushui's appearance. Could it be the Murong family of the multi-handed race? It's very possible. Ling Yue said, her big eyes releasing a dazzling light. I met him in a special world back then. I don't know if he has returned to the Murong family yet. Lu Ming was a little uncertain. Back in the primordial divine spirit world, Murong Qiushui had followed the experts of that world into a deeper world. He didn't know if Murong Qiushui had come out yet. Thinking of this, Lu Ming thought of the Myriad God. The Myriad God had also entered that deeper world to cultivate, so he didn't know how he was doing now. With the Myriad God's talent, his current cultivation should be extremely terrifying. Lu Ming was looking forward to meeting the Myriad God. We can go take a look first. The Blood Demon race's Shui Ming is not easy to deal with. Let's go find Murong Qiushui first and then Shui Ming, how about it? Ling Yue said. Alright, I have no objections. Lu Ming nodded. Murong Qiushui wanted to kill him, so it wouldn't be bad if he could take this opportunity to get rid of Murong Qiushui. The two of them discussed for a bit before setting off. After setting off, Lu Ming used the Dream Divine Jade to send a message to Sect Master Wang. He told him that he had something to do and would leave the plentiful City Sword sect for a while. If the Heavenly Palace started recruiting heavenly soldiers, he should send him a message. Ling Yue was the elven princess, so she knew much more than Lu Ming. On the way, Ling Yue led the way, bringing Lu Ming to the multi-handed race's Murong family. On the way, Lu Ming learned more about the Life Spirit Heavenly Court from Ling Yue, as well as some other secrets. At the same time, the two of them discussed their next plan. The plan to deal with Murong Qiushui was very simple. It was a honey trap. Yes, a honey trap. As long as they came to the Murong family's territory, Ling Yue would take the initiative to appear. With Ling Yue's fame, once she appeared, it would definitely cause a stir. Countless young geniuses would want to pay their respects. If Murong Chiu Shui had already returned to the Murong family and heard that Ling Yue had appeared, he would definitely pay her a visit. When the time came, Lu Ming would appear. As long as Lu Ming appeared, Murong Chiu Shui would definitely sense the life spirit source stone fragment on Lu Ming's body. Then Lu Ming would lure Murong Chiu Shui away and deal with him. The multi-handed race was also a large race. It was one of the races on the Great Desolate 10,000 races list, ranked around 5,000. The multi-handed race was mainly composed of several large families, and the Murong family was one of them. Although the multi-handed race was much weaker than the elven race, Ling Yue couldn't openly send experts to steal Murong Chiu Shui's life spirit source stone fragment. There were rules in the Great Desolate Universe. A strong race, without any reason, domineeringly dealt with a weak race. It would definitely be protested by the other races and even punished by the Heavenly Palace. Of course, if a weak race provoked a strong race, they would be courting death. However, it was impossible for a strong race to send people to kill their way over when they took a fancy to the treasures of a weak race. Therefore, even if Ling Yue's background wasn't simple, she still had to rely on herself to obtain the life spirit source stone fragment. Also, how precious was the life spirit source stone fragment? Who would dare to expose it so easily? Who would dare to borrow the hands of others? After a period of time, Lu Ming and the others arrived at the area controlled by the Murong family. After arriving here, Ling Yue deliberately appeared to buy divine medicine. As expected, it immediately caused a stir. The news of Ling Yue's appearance quickly spread throughout the entire multi-handed race. Countless geniuses of the multi-handed race went to visit Ling Yue, wanting to interact with her. What if he could win the heart of a beauty? Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-21. On the Divine Arm planet, the Divine Arm Mountain Villa was elegant and unique. Legend had it that it was the place where a senior of the multi-hand race cultivated. After that senior died, the Divine Arm Mountain Villa became a scenic spot. Many prodigies of the younger generation of the multi-hand race would come here to admire the glory left behind by the senior. Huge gatherings would also be held here. This time, many top prodigies of the multi-hand race came forward and invited the fairy princess Ling Yue to gather at the Divine Arm Mountain Villa. Ling Yue gladly agreed, and the prodigies of the multi-hand race were ecstatic. Rumor had it that Ling Yue was incomparably cold and arrogant. Normally, she wouldn't accept the invitation of others. However, this time she had accepted the invitation of the prodigies of the multi-hand race. Naturally, they were ecstatic. In an instant, a large number of prodigies of the multi-hand race rushed towards the Divine Arm planet. It was said that many prodigies of the multi-hand race were in seclusion and had temporarily ended their seclusion to rush to the Divine Arm planet, wanting to take the opportunity to befriend Ling Yue. Not only that, but some prodigies of other races who were traveling in the territory of the multi-hand race also rushed to the Divine Arm planet after hearing the news. Therefore, on this day, a large number of prodigies gathered at the Divine Arm Mountain Villa. Not only were there from the multi-hand race, but there were also people from other races. Lu Ming naturally sneaked into the Divine Arm Mountain Villa as a prodigy of another race. By the way, have you seen the fairy princess Ling Yue? Beside Lu Ming, some youths began to discuss. I've seen a portrait in the dream Divine Jade. She's truly a peerless goddess. It's said that she's even prettier and more elegant than in the dream Divine Jade. The key is that her talent is high. Indeed, there are so many peerless prodigies in the primitive universe. It's easy to imagine how many of them can enter the Pearl list. Normally, with our status, we wouldn't be able to see them at all. I didn't expect to see them today. How great would it be if I could marry the fairy princess? Stop dreaming. You think you can do it? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? If it were me, it would be more like it. What did you say? You rotten sweet potato, you're the one who's dreaming. The scene was in an uproar. Many people gathered together to discuss. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. I heard that the elven princess wanted to marry someone called Mu Yun, but she was rejected by Mu Yun. Have you heard? I heard about it. That Mu Yun is just a disciple of a small force. He's so arrogant. If I see him, I'll teach him a lesson. Suddenly, someone changed the topic to Lu Ming. Immediately, flames of anger appeared in their eyes. It was as if Lu Ming had killed their fathers. Lu Ming smiled wryly. He began to wonder if it was a mistake to cooperate with the elven princess. Lu Ming muttered a few words before looking around. What made Lu Ming disappointed was that he could not find any trace of Murong Chiu Shui. The elven princess has arrived. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in a trembling voice. In the sky, a figure walked over. It was Ling Yue. So beautiful. Many people revealed infatuated looks as their eyes widened. Immediately, a few of the most famous geniuses of the multi-armed race soared into the sky to welcome Ling Yue. They welcomed Ling Yue into a pavilion. The pavilion was already filled with fine wine and delicacies. Princess Yue, I heard that you want to marry that Mu Yun? Immediately someone asked. That's right, Mu Yun and I have an engagement. Ling Yue whispered. So what if there's an engagement? That Mu Yun is arrogant and conceited. In my opinion, it's fine if we don't fulfill this engagement. With a person like Princess Yue, how can that Mu Yun be worthy? A youth with 4 arms said with a proud face. The meaning behind his words was that he was worthy of Ling Yue. However, Ling Yue pretended not to hear his hint. That's right. If there's a chance, I will definitely suppress that Mu Yun and vent my anger for Princess Yue. Another genius spoke up. Then there was a burst of excitement. Ling Yue replied absent-mindedly as she looked at Lu Ming. She was asking about Murong Qiushui. However, the attention of the geniuses at the side was 100% focused on Ling Yue. They saw Ling Yue's every move. Ling Yue had peeked at Lu Ming time and time again, so they naturally discovered it. Could it be that Princess Yue has taken a fancy to this pretty boy? Impossible, absolutely impossible. These people began to fill in the blanks. When Lu Ming saw Ling Yue looking at him, he naturally had to respond and slightly shook his head. Nest, what does this mean? When the others saw this, they couldn't help but let their imaginations run wild. The speed at which their brains filled in the blanks suddenly increased. Could it be that Ling Yue and Lu Ming were exchanging glances with each other? Ling Yue had taken a fancy to Lu Ming and hinted to Lu Ming, but Lu Ming shook his head and refused? His heart ached. Many geniuses felt their hearts ache. They said all sorts of nice things and revealed their best side, but Ling Yue didn't even look at them. As for Lu Ming, he sat there without saying a word, but he kept receiving Ling Yue's attention. Why was that? Was it because he was good-looking? Could good looks be eaten? Unhappy, these geniuses were jealous and unhappy. When they saw Ling Yue look at Lu Ming again, many of them exploded. It's a rare gathering today. With Princess Yue here, why don't we spar a little to help with the wine? A young man stood up and said. That's right, sure. All right. Many people responded. Then a young man with 4 arms looked directly at Lu Ming. Brother, I see that you have an extraordinary appearance. Why don't we spar? The 4-armed youth said. The first one to challenge me? Lu Ming was stunned. However, the aura of the 4-armed youth was clearly locked onto him. There was no mistake. He was just sitting here. Why was this person staring at him? Could it be because of Ling Yue? How smart was Lu Ming? He immediately thought of the flirting with Ling Yue just now. These people were probably jealous. Of course, Lu Ming wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. Since this brother wants to spar, then let's spar. Lu Ming stood up and took a step forward. The two of them soared into the air and stood high in the sky. Then their auras erupted. The 4-armed youth's cultivation was at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, the same as Lu Ming. Lu Ming had never hidden his aura. Just now he had seen that Lu Ming was at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, which was why he challenged Lu Ming. You and I are at the same level. I want to see what abilities you have and how many moves you can take from me. Remember, cultivators are not ordinary people. It's not enough to be good-looking. Looks are just skin and are useless to us. The 4-armed youth said proudly. Then divine light burst forth and 4 sabers appeared on his 4 arms. Make your move. Lu Ming said coolly. Towards a person at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm, he really couldn't raise his interest. In a battle of the same level, he had not encountered many people who could fight along the way. Not to mention he had a taboo body now. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-22. Lu Ming said nonchalantly. In the 4-armed youth's eyes, Lu Ming was being arrogant and looking down on him. Hence he was even more furious. Humph. You're just a human. Let's see what you have to be arrogant about. Take my 4-saber stream infinite slash. The 4-armed youth roared and dashed towards Lu Ming. His 4 sabers spun wildly and slashed towards Lu Ming. The 4 sabers seemed to have become a whirlpool of sabers, trying to swallow Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression did not change. He was still watching calmly. Is this brat scared out of his wits? Why isn't he fighting back? Does he think he can easily take Shangguan Yunshu's attack? Shangguan Yunshu is a supreme talent of the multi-hand race. He's famous in the multi-hand race. Not many people can compare to him. Humph. This brat is either scared out of his wits or he's courting death. Someone sneered. At this moment, Shangguan Yunshu's attack was about to land on Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. Boom! Lu Ming threw out a punch, causing the air to tremble. The violent fist force was like a transparent pillar of air that blasted towards the whirlpool formed by Shangguan Yunshu's saber. With a loud bang, the whirlpool of sabers disappeared without a trace. At the same time, Shangguan Yunshu's body flew back with a scream. He fell straight down and landed heavily on the ground. His body was covered in blood. His clothes were tattered, and there were wounds all over his body caused by the force. Shangguan Yunshu was defeated in one move. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Most of the people present were supreme talents of the multi-hand race. Naturally, they knew Shangguan Yunshu. They knew that Shangguan Yunshu's combat strength was top-notch, but they did not expect him to be defeated by Lu Ming so easily. It seems that this brat is quite strong. Thoughts flashed through many people's minds. Interesting. Brat, you're quite strong, but you're too arrogant. Let me take you on. Another young man sneered. A cold aura enveloped Lu Ming. This was an 8th-level Divine Lord multi-hand race's prodigy. I'm arrogant? Lu Ming was speechless. He hadn't said a word from the beginning to the end, okay? How was he arrogant? This youth was probably just finding a reason for himself to make a move. After all, he was an 8th-level Divine Lord, 1 level higher than Lu Ming. He was suspected of using force to suppress the weak, afraid that Ling Yue would look down on him. If you want to make a move, then make your move. Cut the crap. Lu Ming said indifferently. Umph. The young man snorted coldly and was about to make a move. At that instant, more than 10 figures could be seen flying toward them rapidly from the distance. They were the Sky Prides of the multi-hand race. These Sky Prides must have traveled a long way, which was why they had only just arrived. At the same time, Lu Ming felt the Vitality Stone fragment in his body tremble violently. Murong Qiu Shui. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly flickered a few times. He was ecstatic. Among the dozen or so people behind him, who else could the leader be but Murong Qiu Shui? Murong Qiu Shui had indeed left the primordial world and was lured out by Ling Yue. Their plan had already succeeded by half. On the other side, Ling Yue also looked at Murong Qiu Shui. Clearly, she had also sensed the Vitality Stone fragment in Murong Qiu Shui's body. However, Ling Yue had used a special method to seal the aura of the Vitality Stone fragment, so Murong Qiu Shui couldn't sense it. However, he could sense the aura of the Vitality Stone fragment in Lu Ming's body. Swish. Murong Qiu Shui's eyes emitted a resplendent divine light as he stared at Lu Ming. A burning light flashed in the depths of his eyes. However, Murong Qiu Shui didn't attack immediately. With so many people here, the news of the Vitality Stone fragment couldn't be spread. Lu Ming and Murong Qiu Shui looked at each other. Their eyes flickered, indicating that they had also sensed the other party's Vitality Stone fragment. Kid, make your move. The 8th-level Divine Monarch multi-hand race prodigy stared at Lu Ming and shouted. Alright, then I'll play with you. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. After saying this, he charged at the other party. A light sword condensed in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming held the light sword and charged at the other party, taking the initiative to attack. The other party gave a cold snort and 5 arms appeared on his body. In the multi-hand race, the more arms one had, the higher their talent. This person's talent was even higher than Shangguan Yunshu's. This person was a very famous prodigy in the multi-hand race. His name was Shangguan Yunqing. Swish, swish, swish. Shangguan Yunqing held 5 sabers in his hand and slashed out. 5 saber lights cut through the void and slashed at Lu Ming. Clang, clang. The saber lights and Lu Ming's sword lights constantly clashed. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no victor. Of course, it wasn't that Shangguan Yunqing was so powerful that he could fight Lu Ming with a cultivation 1 level higher than Lu Ming. Rather, Lu Ming deliberately fought to a draw with Shangguan Yunqing. He didn't use much strength at all. Seeing Murong Qiu Shui come, Lu Ming naturally wouldn't reveal his strength. Otherwise, what would he do if he scared Murong Qiu Shui? Scaring Murong Qiu Shui wasn't part of their plan. Soon, the two of them exchanged over 100 blows. At this time, Lu Ming began to gain the upper hand. Even so, it shocked the surrounding people. Lu Ming was actually slowly suppressing Shangguan Yunqing with a cultivation 1 level lower. It was shocking. Shangguan Yunqing roared and used all his strength. The sabers in his 5 arms seemed to turn into 5 divine lights, so fast that they couldn't be seen clearly. He was already using all the strength he could muster. Humph, watch me defeat you in one move. One sword cold 19 provinces. Lu Ming roared. His sword light suddenly exploded, breaking Shangguan Yunqing's saber light in one fell swoop, leaving a deep sword mark on his body. Shengguan Yunqing retreated. His body was almost cut in half, suffering heavy injuries. "You've lost," Lu Ming said in a very arrogant tone. The move he called out just now was fake. There was no such move at all, it was just a bit more power. Lu Ming knew that he had to use some powerful trump cards to show his extraordinariness. This was because the Life Soul Source Stone fragment only chose top-level monsters. So he couldn't appear too weak or too strong. Otherwise, it would arouse Murong Qiu Shui's suspicion. Shengguan Yunqing unwillingly retreated. "I'll fight you." At this moment, another multi-handed race genius stood out, wanting to challenge Lu Ming. But now Lu Ming didn't have the heart to accept his challenge, so he directly refused. "I suddenly remembered that I have something to do, so I'll be leaving." Lu Ming cupped his fists and stepped into the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye. "You want to avoid me?" Seeing Lu Ming leave, Murong Qiu Shui sneered in his heart. The corners of his mouth curled up and his eyes revealed a cold glow. In his opinion, Lu Ming must have sensed the Life Soul Source Stone fragment in his body and was afraid that he would make a move, so he left early to avoid Murong Qiu Shui. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-23. In Murong Qiu Shui's eyes, Lu Ming had left early to avoid him. But was it that easy to avoid him? It was clearly impossible. "You all stay here. I have something to do, so I need to leave first." Murong Qiu Shui ordered the youths who came with him. Then he came in front of Ling Yue and said goodbye to her before quickly leaving. "We're about to succeed. Now it's up to Mu Yun." Seeing Murong Qiu Shui leave, Ling Yue was filled with joy. Murong Qiu Shui did not head in Lu Ming's direction at first because it would be too obvious. Once Lu Ming left, he headed in the same direction as Lu Ming, which would make people think. After he left the God Arm Manor, he used his full speed to chase after Lu Ming. Lu Ming's speed was not fast. After he left, he directly flew out of the God Arm planet and into the starry sky. With his current speed, even if he did not fly at full speed, he was still shockingly fast. He kept moving through the starry sky and soon he was far away from the God Arm planet. "Who?" Suddenly, Lu Ming stopped in his tracks and stared intently at the void in front of him. "You really are worthy of being the person who obtained the Life Soul Source Stone fragment. Your spiritual sense is truly sharp." A cold voice rang out. Following that, the void that Lu Ming was staring at rippled and a figure appeared. This figure was Murong Qiu Shui. After chasing for a while, he finally caught up to Lu Ming. "You're finally here," Lu Ming softly said. Murong Qiu Shui had caught up, so he did not need to pretend anymore. "Of course I'm here, we don't need to hide anymore. Hand over the Life Soul Source Stone fragment on you and I can let you live, I'll spare your life," Murong Qiu Shui coldly said. "If I hand over the Life Soul Source Stone fragment, will you let me go?" Aren't you afraid that I'll reveal the disappearance of the Life Soul Source Stone?" Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Murong Qiu Shui's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he said with a cold smile, "It seems like you're not stupid." When he said he would let Lu Ming go, it was just a casual remark. Naturally he would not let Lu Ming go. He had snatched Lu Ming's Life Soul Essence Stone fragment and let Lu Ming go. Lu Ming would definitely leak the news of the Life Soul Essence Stone. How could he let Lu Ming go? "You want to kill me? Let's see if you can do it," Lu Ming said. "Humph, do you think that with your 7th level Divine Lord cultivation, you can contend with me? How naive." Murong Qiu Shui gave a cold laugh. As soon as his voice fell, a blade glow appeared in his hand. It was a flying dagger. Its speed was astonishing as it pierced towards Lu Ming's glabella. Quasi-Emperor. As soon as he made his move, Lu Ming could sense that Murong Qiu Shui's cultivation had already reached the Quasi-Emperor realm. Back in the primordial divine spirit world, Murong Qiu Shui's cultivation had only just broken through to the 1st level Divine Lord realm. In just a few years he had already reached the Quasi-Emperor realm. It could be imagined that Murong Qiu Shui had also obtained a great opportunity during this time. In fact, those who could obtain the recognition of the Life Soul Essence Stone fragment all had terrifying talent and great opportunities. They were all geniuses among geniuses, 1 in a billion heroes. The flying dagger's speed was extremely shocking, instantly approaching Lu Ming. Dang. At the critical moment, Lu Ming sent out a punch, blocking the flying dagger. The two exploded with a heaven-shaking explosion and then Lu Ming quickly retreated. He felt a bloody mark appear on his fist. Such shocking attack power. Lu Ming felt that the power of Murong Qiu Shui's attack was close to the attack power of the small dagger. "You can actually take my dagger? Not bad, you are worthy of being recognized by the Life Soul Meteorite fragment." It seems like you were hiding your strength before. Murong Qiushui was very surprised to see Lu Ming take his dagger. With Lu Ming's previous performance, he definitely wouldn't be able to take this dagger. Use your full strength, otherwise, you won't have a chance to use it in the future. Lu Ming said. No chance to use it? Aha, could it be that you want to kill me? Murong Qiushui laughed. Although Lu Ming's strength wasn't bad, he hadn't used his full strength just now. Did Lu Ming think that he could kill him? Too naive. Oh. A powerful aura erupted from Murong Qiushui's body. At the same time, he used his origin secret technique. His origin secret technique was still a set of flying daggers. But compared to before, Murong Qiushui's origin secret technique was many times stronger. It had already severed 3 shackles. At the same time, he turned into a primordial divine body, a giant primordial divine spirit with 9 arms. Die for me! Murong Qiushui roared. The 9 flying daggers pierced through the air, killing Lu Ming with terrifying might. This person's battle strength was shockingly strong. He wasn't much weaker than the 9 silkworm prince of the heavenly silkworm race. This was where his confidence came from. Not to mention that Lu Ming was only a 7th-layer divine monarch. Even if Lu Ming was a quasi-emperor, he was confident that he could kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly. In an instant, he activated the battle incantation, which increased his combat power by 5 times. All the cells in his body trembled continuously, activating all the energy within them. Hong hong hong. Lu Ming punched out continuously. Terrifying fist energy erupted, continuously attacking Murong Qiushui's flying daggers. Every time they collided, there would be a huge explosion in the starry sky. The terrifying energy and dagger light swept across the starry sky for billions of miles. Countless meteorites exploded. Shio. A dagger light split a giant resource planet in half. Oh. A terrifying fist energy hit a star, creating a passageway in the middle of the star. It almost caused the star to explode. In an instant, the two exchanged more than 50 moves, but there was no clear winner. It had to be said that Murong Qiushui's battle strength was really strong. With his battle strength, he was close to the 9 silkworm prince. Even if he was placed in the top 100 quasi-emperors list, he would be ranked in the 50s. However, Murong Qiushui was even more shocked. With his battle strength, he couldn't take down Lu Ming. How much strength had Lu Ming hidden before? It was too terrifying. With Lu Ming's battle strength, why did he seem to be afraid of him and leave in a hurry? Not good, I've been tricked. This person deliberately lured me out. With a flash of inspiration, Murong Qiushui guessed Lu Ming's goal. You deliberately lured me out, right? Are you confident that you can deal with me? Murong Qiushui roared and raised his battle strength to the peak. A set of flying daggers fused together, forming a giant flying dagger. Shio. The giant flying dagger flew at Lu Ming. It was terrifying to the extreme. Great Divine Wind Technique. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He used the Great Divine Wind Technique and also raised his battle strength to the peak, attacking Murong Qiushui. With a heaven-destroying explosion, the giant flying dagger shattered. Murong Qiushui spat out a large mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-24. When Lu Ming used the Great Divine Wind Technique, Murong Qiushui finally couldn't resist and was forced back by Lu Ming's attack while coughing out blood. Great Divine Wind Technique, are you Mu Yun? Murong Qiushui roared out. The matter between Mu Yun and Ling Yuwei had caused a stir, so how could Murong Qiushui not know? Thinking about how Ling Yuwei had suddenly appeared here, he was even more certain that the person in front of him was Mu Yun. A young heaven's pride that knew the Great Divine Wind Technique and had a relationship with Ling Yuwei. If it wasn't Mu Yun, who else could it be? He naturally wouldn't think that the person in front of him was Lu Ming from the primordial world. The current Lu Ming had used the 3-corpse beheading technique to create his current body, which was a pure forbidden body. His life origin aura had undergone a fundamental change, so he naturally couldn't recognize him. I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming coldly said. His body was wrapped in wind as he charged at Murong Qiushui. With a palm, it was like a cosmic storm had swept through the starry sky, sweeping through the vast starry sky. Murong Qiushui was enveloped by the endless wind, like a small boat in the sea. Murong Qiushui roared out as he charged forward with all his might, wanting to break through. However, he was already injured, so it was even harder for him to break through Lu Ming's attack. In the endless wind, the two of them continued to exchange blows. After a few moves, Murong Qiushui was hit by Lu Ming again. Half of his body exploded and he was heavily injured. Don't even think about killing me. Murong Qiushui's eyes were blood red as his divine power burned. He went all out and in the end, even his primordial divine body began to burn. Xiu. He turned into a resplendent blade light and charged to the other side of the starry sky, wanting to escape. He went all out like this, but he was actually able to break through the wind and was about to charge out. However, Lu Ming's expression was very relaxed. There was no change at all and he wasn't in a hurry to chase after him. Because there was no need to rush to chase after him, he had already released Qiu. In the starry sky, a moonlight spear light shot out, stabbing at Murong Qiushui. The moon-colored spear glow was incomparably sharp. It broke through the void and released a terrifying whistling sound. It contained a destructive power that made Murong Qiushui's face pale with fright. He gathered all his strength and turned it into a flying dagger, blocking in front of him. Clang. The moonlight spear light collided with the flying knife light. A dazzling light appeared and in the next moment, the flying dagger's blade glow was shattered. The moon-colored spear glow did not stop as it stabbed into Murong Qiushui, piercing through his body. The lower half of Murong Qiushui's body had been completely blown apart, leaving only his head and chest intact. His injuries were extremely serious, leaving him extremely weak. He no longer had the strength to fight. With a flash of moonlight, Qiu's silver spear appeared, turning back into a ball. Its mouth was filled with sharp teeth as it stared at Murong Qiushui. Metallic life form? How did you get this metallic life form? Murong Qiushui stared right at Qiu with eyes filled with disbelief. He recognized Qiu. In the past, Lu Ming had combined with Qiu to defeat him. Although the metallic life forms looked very similar, after carefully sensing it, he could still recognize that this metallic life form belonged to Lu Ming. Why would Lu Ming's metallic life form appear by Mu Yun's side? Mu Yun was Lu Ming? Impossible, their life source auras were completely different. This could not be faked, he definitely would not make a mistake. This metallic life form originally belonged to me, so of course it's by my side. What? How long has it been and you already don't recognize me? Lu Ming stepped through the air. While he spoke, his appearance began to change, turning into Lu Ming's original appearance. Murong Qiushui saw Lu Ming's appearance and his pupils rapidly shrank. Lu Ming, you are Lu Ming. Impossible, how could you be Lu Ming? Your life source, how could it change? Murong Qiushui gave a hysterical roar. The great desolate universe is endless and there are countless secret techniques, how could you know? I used a secret technique to change my life source aura. Murong Qiushui, I didn't kill you in the primordial god world, but it's not too late to kill you now. Lu Ming coldly said as he stepped through the air with the endless wind. With Lu Ming's words, Murong Qiushui was certain that the person in front of him was Lu Ming. Like this, it was even harder for him to accept. He gave a hysterical roar. No, impossible, this is impossible, I'm not willing. He felt slightly better if he had been defeated by the world-renowned Mu Yun. However, he could not accept the fact that he had been defeated by Lu Ming. During this time, he had obtained a large opportunity and wildly improved in all aspects. Compared to the past, he could not be compared at all, he was much stronger. He had been filled with confidence before that if he met Lu Ming again, he could suppress Lu Ming with a single finger. It was a pity that when he met Lu Ming, he was still not a match for Lu Ming. This blow to him was just too big. I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming coldly said. Without wasting words, he charged at Murong Qiushui with the endless wind. The current Murong Qiushui did not have any strength to fight back, he could not dodge Lu Ming's attack at all. With an unwilling pitiful cry, Murong Qiushui was turned to ashes in the wind. Even his soul could not escape. However, Lu Ming had a sense of propriety, he still kept Murong Qiushui's storage ring. In addition, after Murong Qiushui turned to ashes, a white light flashed and flew off into the distance. Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Lu Ming could see with a single glance that it was a Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment that wanted to escape. A Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment would normally choose its master. If it did not recognize its master, it would escape. But now it had no choice. Qiu. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Qiu. Qiu's body flashed and appeared in front of the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Its body wriggled and turned into a large net, blocking the path of the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. Lu Ming reached out with his hand and with endless wind, he grabbed at the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. The Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment did not have any power on its own and could not escape at all. Lu Ming grabbed it. Let me go, let me go. An old man appeared on the Life Spirit Source Stone Fragment. He looked exactly the same as the rock spirit in Lu Ming's life spirit source stone fragment. This was also the rock spirit. But this rock spirit had a look of horror on its face, as if it knew that it was in trouble. Haha, great. Let me swallow him. This way the two life spirit source stone fragments can fuse together. The life spirit in Lu Ming's body, the rock spirit, shouted excitedly. Go! Lu Ming used the forbidden power to control the rock spirit and then released his life spirit source stone fragment. Lu Ming's life spirit, the rock spirit, immediately pounced at the rock spirit and tore at it. Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor, Myriad Dao Dragon Emperor. Chapter 38-25. The stone spirit of Murong Qiushui's life soul source stone struggled wildly, but Lu Ming controlled it with his forbidden power. It couldn't break free at all and couldn't even resist. It couldn't resist and could only be beaten. Soon Lu Ming's stone spirit swallowed a piece of it and it became weaker and weaker. You swallowed me, but you'll be swallowed by others sooner or later. The stone spirit let out an unwilling roar and cursed Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit. But in the next moment, its roar came to an abrupt end because it had been shattered by Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit and was crazily absorbing it. After absorbing Murong Qiushui's life soul source stone spirit, Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit glowed and its aura became stronger and more condensed. And that life soul source stone spirit also merged with Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit. Lu Ming's life soul source stone spirit grew in size and shined brightly. How is it? Did you make any progress after swallowing the other stone spirit? Or do you know more about the life soul heavenly court? Lu Ming asked the stone spirit. The stone spirit burped and said with a satisfied look, I've learned some things. I'm afraid that the heavenly court life spirit hasn't disappeared yet. It's still floating in the vast universe. Also, the 9 life soul palaces under the heavenly court life spirit haven't been destroyed yet. If we can find the heavenly court life spirit and the 9 Nethersal palaces, we'll gain endless treasures. What? The life soul heavenly court and the 9 life soul palaces are still there? Lu Ming was shocked. Wasn't the life soul heavenly court destroyed by the heavenly palace? I don't know the details. Maybe the ruins are still there and the experts of the life soul heavenly court have all died. The life soul source stone spirit said. Lu Ming nodded. That was possible. The life spirit heavenly court was the mortal enemy of the heavenly palace. How could the heavenly palace allow the life spirit heavenly court to exist in the world? If so, how could they maintain the status of the heavenly palace? Lu Ming's heart began to burn. If the life soul heavenly court still had 9 life soul palaces floating in the universe, it would be a great opportunity to find them. This was because if they were controlled by the heavenly palace, they would not be allowed to wander freely in the universe. Floating in the universe meant that it was not under the control of the heavenly palace. Then do you know where the life spirit heavenly court or the 9 life spirit palaces are? Lu Ming asked. I don't know. The rock spirit answered very straightforwardly, which greatly disappointed Lu Ming. Lu Ming put away the fragments of the life spirit essence stone. He did not linger and left in a flash. A few days later, Lu Ming arrived at a remote planet and waited. Because this was the place where he and Ling Yuwei had agreed to meet. Sure enough, not long after, Ling Yuwei walked through the air like a fairy from a painting. How is it? Did you succeed? Ling Yuwei asked with a smile. Actually, when she saw Lu Ming appear here, she knew that Lu Ming had succeeded. Lu Ming nodded and said, Murong Qiushui's life spirit stone fragment has already fused with mine. When I obtain the next life spirit stone fragment, it will be yours. No problem. Ling Yuwei smiled and then asked expectantly, You fused with Murong Qiushui's life spirit stone fragment. Did you get any news? News about the life spirit heavenly court? Almost none. Lu Ming did not hide anything and told her the news that the rock spirit had told him. Ling Yuwei was also a little disappointed. Next, let's go find the blood demon race's Shui Ming. Ling Yuwei said. Now you should tell us how we are going to deal with Shui Ming, right? You should have a plan, right? Are you still going to rely on the beauty trap? Lu Ming asked. Of course not. Ling Yuwei shook her head and said, I've studied Shui Ming for a long time. Shui Ming is much harder to deal with than Murong Qiushui. It's impossible to rely on the beauty trap because this person is a cultivation maniac and has no interest in women. Moreover, this person's combat strength is very strong. Although his cultivation is only at the Quasi-Emperor realm, he is ranked 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Even many Quasi-Emperor realm monsters of the top 10 races have been defeated by him. 11th on the Quasi-Emperor realm top 100 list. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. He had fought with 9 Silkworm Prince before and knew how terrifying he was. However, 9 Silkworm Prince was only ranked 49th on the Quasi-Emperor Realm Top 100 list. Xueming, on the other hand, was ranked 11th on the Quasi-Emperor Realm Top 100 list. He was definitely standing at the peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm in the universe. His combat strength was most likely extremely terrifying. According to Lu Ming's knowledge, Ling Yuwei was ranked 16th on the Quasi-Emperor Realm Top 100 list. In a one-on-one battle, she was probably not a match for Xueming. This was also the reason why Ling Yuwei had not made a move. Now that she had Lu Ming's help, she decided to make a move. Yes, but the most troublesome thing about Xueming is not his strength, but his cautiousness. This person cultivates the Blood Demon Doppelganger technique and can cultivate multiple doppelgangers. Usually, when he is outside or when he encounters something, it is his doppelgangers who take action. A treasure like the Life Spirit Source Stone fragment will definitely be carried by Xueming's main body. Even if we kill his doppelgangers, we won't be able to obtain the Life Spirit Source Stone fragment. Ling Yuwei explained. Lu Ming frowned. According to this, Xueming was indeed very difficult to deal with. He was far from being comparable to Murong Qiu Shui. You must have a plan. Tell me everything. Lu Ming said. I do have a plan. The first step of the plan is to lure out Xueming's main body. If we want to lure out Xueming's main body, there is only one way, which is to rely on the Blood God Fruit. Ling Yuwei said. Blood God Fruit. That's right. Xueming cultivates the Blood Demon Divine Body, which is a very powerful physique secret technique. The Blood God Fruit has an extremely shocking effect on cultivating the Blood Demon Divine Body. In fact, the Blood God Fruit has an extremely strong effect on people who cultivate the Blood Dao. However, the Blood God Fruit has a special characteristic. Once it is picked, it must be consumed in a short period of time. Otherwise, the medicinal properties of the Blood God Fruit will quickly dissipate. Therefore, as long as there is news of the Blood God Fruit, Xueming's main body will definitely make a move. This is because even if he uses his doppelgangers to obtain the Blood God Fruit, he won't be able to absorb it in a short period of time. Ling Yuwei said. So, you already have news of the Blood God Fruit? Lu Ming said. That's right. After many investigations, I do have news of the Blood God Fruit. Ling Yuwei nodded. However, have you thought of a problem? Even if we have news of the Blood God Fruit and release the location of the Blood God Fruit, can the two of us